Su-Han crossed into a parallel world just as a doomsday crisis descended and a mysterious system stirred within him. At the very beginning, he obtained the power of lightning, turning into a master of thunder, cleaving paths of crackling light, as the undead threats before him were reduced to harmless charred husks. By chance, he encountered Asema Yazi the cold and aloof school beauty. As captain of the Kendo Club and national Kendo champion, Asema Yazi was like a flower blooming high upon an unreachable peak, her beauty transcendent and otherworldly, unlike anything of the mundane world. Yet misfortune struck this goddess-like school beauty was unexpectedly infected by a strange virus, and now hovered on the brink of disaster. In the Sakura Empire, within the corridors of the private Shirami Academy, danger loomed unseen. Between classes, the spacious corridor was filled with students. The murmured discussions of the boys and the soft, cheerful laughter of the girls flowed without end. Standing before the windows, Su-Han gazed out at the campus, his eyes unfocused and without a clear point of rest. A gentle breeze brushed past, tossing his slightly messy hair, while the summer sunlight spilled across Su-Han's profile. His handsome features seemed gilded with a faint divine radiance, and many girls in the classroom, stealing secret glances in his direction, found themselves momentarily dazzled. Along with the girls' captivated gazes came the resentful, hostile looks of several boys. Su-Han had grown accustomed to such things over the past few days. 3 days earlier, he had inexplicably crossed into this world, taking on the identity of a transfer student from the Daxia Empire. He was not without official records, and even had a house of his own to live in. In the span of 3 days, Su-Han had pieced together the nature of this world. It was a parallel version of Earth with history and culture remarkably similar to his own, save that the names of notable figures in modern history had subtly diverged. In the present-day Sakura Empire, the authority of the emperor had waned. Powerful clans held the reins of military and political power, beneath whom stretched layers of lesser families of every size. Within the private Shirami Academy, many students hailed from these influential families as young masters and ladies, though the majority were outstanding students from ordinary backgrounds admitted through their academic excellence. Bored, Su-Han stared out at the scenery beyond the window. His face revealed little, yet his heart was filled with impatience and irritation. A status panel had appeared for him 3 days ago and could be viewed whenever he wished. Name Su-Han. System not activated. Strength 9. The average adult value is 10. Agility 10. Intelligence 11. Constitution 10. Items none. He had no idea what this system truly was. 3 days had passed, and still the system had not activated. If it had the power to bring him across worlds, why did it refuse to awaken? As long as the system remained dormant, a sense of insecurity lingered in Su-Han's heart. Shaking his head, Su-Han glanced at the nearby group of girls whispering among themselves, then turned away seemingly unconcerned and walked toward the restroom. His thoughts were in disarray, and he felt he needed to wash his face to clear his mind. As he walked along the corridor, several male students exchanged glances when they saw his back and quietly followed after him. They watched Su-Han enter the restroom. 5 students approached without slowing. 𝑃 quickly stepped inside, while the remaining 2 stayed at the door. Passing students who noticed the scene did not dare to linger, and under the hard stares of the 2 guards lowered their heads and hurried away. Inside the restroom, Su-Han splashed water on his face, yet the icy stream could not extinguish the agitation in his heart. He silently questioned whether something was wrong with the elusive system. Why was it still refusing to activate? Was the time not yet right, or was some trigger condition still missing? Over 3 days he had attempted every way he could think of to communicate with the system, yet all his efforts vanished without a trace. Not even the slightest response came, and his frustration rose to the point where he felt he could almost vent it on the walls. In the end, he decided that once he returned home, he would try writing stories or drawing comics. Perhaps the system belonged to the realm of arts and entertainment. If that failed, he would consider more practical experiments, hoping to discover whether it was some kind of battle-oriented system. Having settled on a plan, the tight lines of his brow eased. Just as he turned to leave the restroom, he noticed that 3 figures had silently taken up positions blocking the doorway. Taking in the unusually quiet restroom and the 3 students blocking the exit with ill-defined but clearly unfriendly intent, Su-Han immediately understood the situation before him. It was clear they intended to bully him. After 3 days, they had finally run out of patience. Being too handsome was not always a blessing. A tall tree catches the wind, and those who stand out too much inevitably draw jealousy. He shook his head helplessly. Truthfully, Su-Han had no desire to clash with these 3, not out of cowardice, but for a very different reason. He feared that if he truly lost control, he might injure them far more seriously than anyone intended. Su-Han recognized these 3. The blonde boy in the center was Tenjin's Wataru, a young master of the Tenjin family notorious for his arrogance and for often bullying ordinary students. The 2 beside him were little more than his lackeys and not worth mentioning. Having trapped Su-Han in the restroom, Tenjin's Wataru felt a surge of excitement. He had long been displeased with Su-Han's quiet demeanor that attracted so much attention from their classmates. In his eyes, Su-han's good looks were nothing more than a shallow advantage. He believed that appearance alone was worthless and intended to force Su-han into a humiliating submission, proving his own superiority in front of those he considered shallow classmates. Firmly blocking Su-han's path and mistaking his calm for fear, 𝓃 grin grew fiercer. He clenched his fists, knuckles cracking, and stepped forward with a confrontational air. He confronted Su-han with harsh words, mocking his reserved demeanor and challenging him outright. His two followers closed in behind him with ill intent, seasoned by past incidents of intimidation. In their minds, they could already picture Su-han forced to submit. Seeing the situation, Su-han knew this would not be an easy encounter, though he felt no fear. Meeting Wataro's gaze, Su-han answered in a cold tone, remarking that in a harsher world, people who behaved as recklessly as these three would never last long in any story. With a slight movement of his right hand, a black baton slipped from his sleeve into his palm. Without sparing the three a glance, Su-han strode forward and declared that those who knew their place should step aside. He had already decided if they continued to stand in his way, he would teach them just how unpleasant it could be to be struck by a defensive baton. He was not someone who could be easily pushed around. Swallowing his anger was never an option. Still, he knew that after any clash he would need the system to awaken quickly, or future troubles would be hard to avoid. He was only a transfer student from Daxia, while the 𝓃 family was known for its extreme nationalist leanings. In the Sakura Empire, if 𝓃 chose to target him, Su-han understood that he would have very limited means to resist the family's influence. After hearing Su-han's cutting remark, Wataru was momentarily stunned. From primary school onward, no one had ever dared to speak to him in such a way. To him, Su-han seemed utterly ignorant of the danger. Fury flooded Wataru's mind. Feeling belittled, he commanded his followers to attack, his anger far beyond anything he usually experienced. At his signal, the two followers drew back their fists and swung them towards Su-han in a crude attempt at violence. As their fists came toward him, Su-han raised his arm and brought the defensive baton fully into view, just as a sudden commotion erupted from outside the restroom. From the corridor outside came the sound of students talking excitedly about a woman at the school gate, a white-collar professional who was violently hitting the gate with security guards and the discipline officer moving to intervene. Onlookers described how the woman suddenly rushed close to one of the staff members in an overly familiar way before, in a shocking turn, she tried to bite him, her behavior erratic and frightening. The crowd watched as the confrontation escalated into a struggle at the school gate. In the chaos, the woman was knocked to the ground, leading some students to worry that she might have been seriously hurt. The chaotic scene at the school gate marked the beginning of a crisis that would soon engulf the entire campus and beyond. Did a fight break out at the school gate? Did someone die? What is going on? The sudden cries interrupted Su-han's actions in the restroom. Not only him, but the two lackey students rushing in also halted, their gaze filled with questions as they looked at Wataru. Wataru was also stunned at that moment. Looking at the questioning gazes of the two lackeys, he gritted his teeth, about to speak, when two students burst in through the restroom door. "Young Master Tung, it seems someone died at the school gate. The school leaders have all come out, we should retreat." After hearing the report from his subordinates, Wataru was filled with anger. He turned his fierce gaze on Su-han, saying, "Kid, consider yourself lucky today. Let's go see what's happening." Even though he was the young master of the 𝓃 family, he had to be mindful of the impact. With the situation unclear, he did not want to stir up trouble. The private Shirami Academy has a significant background. The school leaders and board members are directors sent by various prominent families. His 𝓃 family cannot provoke them. Wataru fled in disgrace, and Su-han had no intention of lingering. He tucked away his self-defense baton and quickly exited the restroom. In the corridor, a group of students stood by the window, glancing out occasionally, letting out gasps of shock. "Wow, someone really died. There's blood all over the ground, and the person on the ground is completely motionless. The teacher from the academic office has a bite on his shoulder, blood flowing everywhere. That person must be a madman, right? Look, isn't that the principal and a few board members? With such a big incident, the principal and the board members must be having a hard time too. What the hell? What is that? The dead guy on the ground is getting up again. Is he pretending? No way. If the pretender is getting up, then why is the teacher from the academic office suddenly lying on the ground? What is going on here?" Listening to the series of gasps, Su-han's footsteps faltered, and he was momentarily stunned. This sounds a bit off, doesn't it? The unfolding of the plot gave Su-han a strange sense of déjà vu. Thinking of a certain speculation, Su-han's scalp tingled, and he quickly ran near the window. Without squeezing in with the crowd, he moved a stool to stand on. Damn, that person is definitely a madman. As soon as he got up, he was biting everyone like crazy. That security guard lost a huge chunk of flesh. He's gone mad. Really mad. The security guard's baton isn't working. My God. Look, Teacher Jing from earlier is also going crazy, chasing the security guard and biting. What is happening? That madman must have rabies and infected teacher Jing. As soon as he stood on the stool, Su-Han heard these words, and his heart sank. Rabies. He actually hoped it was rabies. He quickly looked towards the school gate, and the scene before his eyes made Su-Han's face turn pale. Not far from the school gate, teacher Jing from the academic office had a pale face and dull pupils, frantically biting at the security guard, ignoring the pushes of the baton, quickly inflicting wounds. The zombified teacher Jing and the female office worker were wildly successful, quickly biting several security guards. Meanwhile, the initially bitten security guard inexplicably began to convulse on the ground. Soon, the zombified teacher Jing and the female office worker were wildly successful, quickly biting several security guards. Meanwhile, the initially bitten security guard inexplicably began to convulse on the ground, soon collapsing, and shortly after got back up, mouth agape, joining the chase. Given all the signs, even if Su-Han didn't want to admit it, he understood one thing. The zombie crisis has erupted. Looking at the system again, the interface still displayed, not activated. Su-Han sighed, helplessly jumped down from the stool, and turned to rush towards the stairs. With the zombie crisis erupting, the teaching building was quickly becoming unsafe. At this time, the safest place was the rooftop, or as long as the door was locked, zombies wouldn't be able to get up. He had barely taken a few steps when a series of piercing sounds came from behind. Get away. Perverted man, stay away from me. I told you to get away. Sexual harassment. Pervert. Oh, let go of me. Let go of me. It hurts. Why are you biting me? Are you sick? Reiko, don't do this. This is the corridor. Let's go to the restroom instead. Oh, it hurts. Reiko, what are you doing? Damn, not so fast. Hearing these piercing sounds, Su-Han felt a chill run down his spine. Aren't the zombies still at the school gate? How could zombies appear in the teaching building? What the hell is going on? Has the zombie virus spread to the school? How did it get transmitted? Through the air, water, or something else? His mind was a jumble, and Su-Han couldn't think about that anymore. The urgent matter now was to get to the rooftop. Determined, Su-Han sprinted forward. The corridor was already in chaos. Some students had turned into zombies, frantically biting people. The other students were paralyzed with fear, each one looked charged. Determined, Su-Han sprinted forward. The corridor was already in chaos. Some students had turned into zombies, frantically biting people. The other students were paralyzed with fear, each one looking terrified and fleeing in all directions. Behind Su-Han, he didn't know how many students were madly fleeing, and following those students were the already zombified ones, roaring and chasing them relentlessly. Damn! Turning his head to see this scene, Su-Han's pupils constricted, and he ran even faster. He had to go upstairs. He had to get to the rooftop. Just a few meters out, over a dozen terrified students rushed out from the classrooms ahead. Instead of escaping through the nearest staircase, they charged towards him as if they had gone mad. Most terrifying of all, as these students rushed out of the classroom, 7 or 8 zombies with hideous faces, mouths full of flesh and blood followed closely behind. Seeing this scene, Su-Han almost cursed. How unlucky can one be? With wolves in front and tigers behind, Su-Han glanced back, assessed the situation, and decisively continued to sprint without looking back. The stairway was only a dozen meters away, and there were only 7 or 8 zombies ahead. He had no idea how many students and zombies were behind him. Turning back now meant certain death. He had no choice but to charge forward. Getting into the hallway meant there was still a glimmer of hope. Huff with a weight in his sleeve, the self-defense baton reappeared in his hand. Watching the students charging towards him, Su-Han's expression hardened. He flicked his wrist, and the baton instantly extended to over half a meter. Holding the self-defense baton, looking at the students rushing towards him and the many zombies behind, Su-Han's expression turned cold as he shouted, "Everyone get out of the way. The back is full of these monsters. If you don't want to die, follow behind. Anyone who blocks me will die. Wolves in front, tigers behind. With zombies on all sides, time is of the essence. Every second wasted decreases the chance of survival," and at this moment Su-Han had no time to engage in gentle dialogue with these students. The only option now is intimidation. Otherwise, if over a dozen students rushed forward, he would be knocked to the ground immediately, unable to get back up. Even if he wasn't trampled to death by the students behind him, he would become fodder for the zombies. At this moment, it is essential to remain calm. It is crucial to be ruthless. A dozen students had already lost their rationality in fear of the zombies. Deaf to Su-Han's roar, all they knew was to run. Run continuously, or else they would be caught and bitten to death by the monsters behind. Then they would become one of the monsters. This bizarre phenomenon had left them dumbfounded, having never encountered such a strange and terrifying situation before. Not to mention, having seen it, they hadn't even heard of it. As Su-Han watched this group of students madly rush toward him, his gaze turned cold, raising the self-defense stick in his hand to intimidate the panicked students a few meters away. Get out of the way. He was taking a gamble. Humans have an instinctive reaction to danger. Unless they cannot avoid it, they will close their eyes in self-deception. At his current speed, the students in front would be able to react. He was betting that these students would dodge the raised self-defense stick. As long as he could clear a path he could pass through smoothly. Whether these students would run with him or continue charging forward only to be surrounded by zombies was not his concern. He had already been more than considerate. Those who were meant to die could not be saved. Upon seeing Su-han's raised self-defense stick, the students rushing toward him were startled and instinctively moved to the sides. Seeing this scene, a glimmer of joy flashed in Su-han's eyes. He won the gamble. Although these students were frightened to the point of losing their rationality, their instinctive reaction to danger still remained. With the self-defense stick in hand, Su-han did not slow down, swiftly running along the path opened by the students. The zombies are behind us. Those who do not wish to die follow me. Su-han's voice echoed, and the dozen or so students finally understood, focusing their gaze, and suddenly seeing the students rushing toward them. Dozens of zombies, and perhaps even more. The most terrifying sight was a zombie leaping and directly pouncing onto the back of the last student, sinking its bloody mouth into him. Blood sprayed from the student's neck as he desperately flailed his arms, gasping for breath before quickly losing strength and collapsing to the ground. Upon witnessing this scene, a few of the students were so frightened that they collapsed on the spot, their eyes wide open, and once they regained their senses they scrambled to turn around and follow Su-han in a mad dash. The reason he shouted this was not out of kindness. He had his own motives. In the face of an apocalyptic crisis, there were still 3 floors to run to the rooftop. Now the entire teaching building was in chaos with zombies rampant. By himself, Su-han's strength was truly limited. Human endurance can sometimes run out, especially under stress, where physical stamina rapidly depletes. On his own, he might not make it to the rooftop. If he encountered a horde of zombies, he might not even have the chance to escape. These people, strictly speaking, were merely tools he called upon, props to increase his chances of survival. In a desperate situation, they could be used to attract the attention of the zombies. The more people there were, the greater his chances of survival. As he crossed over a dozen students, seeing 7 or 8 zombies with fierce expressions rushing toward him, Su-han felt a sense of fear that he couldn't deny. At this moment, his hand gripping the self-defense stick was trembling. Though he was afraid, his steps showed no sign of stopping. To stop would mean death. Only by charging forward could there be a glimmer of hope. With a powerful swing of his arm, the self-defense stick came crashing down with a whoosh, instantly smashing the skull of the first charging zombie, spraying blood everywhere. With a single blow, a terrifying zombie was eliminated. As Su-han watched the blood splatter before him, he shivered all over, and at that moment a prompt sound echoed in his mind. Killed a regular zombie, gained 1 point, current points 1. Ding. System activated. Ding. System binding in progress. Binding progress 1. 10. 30. 60. 100. System successfully bound. A beginner's gift pack is now being issued. Would you like to open it? A series of prompt sounds rang out clear and pleasant, and Su-han felt a surge of joy in his heart. System. It activated just like that. Damn. So it turns out it needed to kill zombies to activate. No wonder it didn't react at all for 3 days. As for the beginner's gift pack, wouldn't it be foolish to wait to open it at a time like this? Open it. With a swing of his self-defense stick, Su-han kept running. The appearance of the system greatly boosting his confidence, and his strength felt like it had suddenly increased. His tension and fear had transformed into excitement. Kill. With the self-defense stick swinging, the mindless zombies were continuously dispatched, blood spraying everywhere, even staining the white walls on either side. With the self-defense stick in hand, Su-han resembled a god of death. In mere seconds, 7 or 8 zombies were all eliminated, and the dozen or so students who crawled up behind him were dumbfounded, staring at Su-han's bloodied back, their eyes filled with awe and fear. Are zombies terrifying? Very terrifying. Are zombies powerful? That is subjective. After eliminating 7 or 8 zombies, Su-han personally felt that these zombies were weak beyond belief. As long as the fear in one's heart is overcome with a weapon in hand aimed at the head, these zombies are not scary at all. Compared to humans, these zombies don't even know how to dodge. How could they not be weak? Killed a regular zombie, gained 1 point, current points 2. Killed a regular zombie, gained 1 point, current points 3. Killed a regular zombie, gained 1 point, current points 7. Ding. Open the beginner's gift pack, received a random ability card 1, a random weapon card 1, and a 111 cubic meter space ring 1. Ability card, weapon card, space ring. A glimmer of surprise flashed in Su-han's eyes as he quickly called out in his mind, use the ability card. Ding. Ability card used, successfully extracting ability. Congratulations, host, you have drawn the lightning ability. Would you like to fuse it? Fuse. Now is not the time to hesitate. Should I wait until I'm dead to use it? Ding. Lightning ability is fusing. With the prompt sound, Su-han felt a surge of electricity coursing through his body, causing a tingling sensation all over, rapidly enhancing his physical capabilities. Moments later, the lightning ability successfully fused, and Su-Han opened his eyes, with flashes of lightning flickering in his gaze. Lightning ability fusion successful. Ding. Lightning ability fusion successful, current level LV1. Roar. Run. Don't block the path ahead. Wait for me, wait for me. Hearing the roars from behind, Su-Han, regaining his senses, did not look back and continued to sprint. What a joke. Gaining powers doesn't mean invincibility. A LV1 lightning ability is enough to handle a dozen zombies, but with the students and zombies combined there are at least 100. With his current lightning ability, he couldn't even make a splash. So it's better to run first and talk about gaining strength later. After merging with the lightning ability, Su-Han felt incredibly light, as if a wind was under his feet, and in the blink of an eye he arrived at the staircase. At this moment, Su-Han had no time to pay attention to the other students. With the lightning ability, his speed was extraordinary. As long as he wasn't surrounded by hundreds of zombies, he could easily escape. Standing at the staircase before Su-Han could step onto it, a series of piercing curses came down from above. Oh, don't push me. Get the hell out of the way. Don't block me. Run, those monsters are coming. On the stairs, a large number of students screamed as they rushed down. The crowd was chaotic. Many students lost their balance and fell to the ground during the descent. Before the fallen students could stand up, a multitude of figures trampled over them, leaving them no chance to rise. They quickly succumbed, spitting blood and falling silent. Seeing the torrent of people rushing down from the upper floor, Su-Han's face darkened, and he turned to leave without looking back. It was no longer feasible to reach the rooftop via the stairs. The students above were running down like madmen, and he alone could not withstand the onslaught of dozens or even hundreds of frantic students. Not to mention the countless zombies behind them. Trying to access the rooftop via the stairs was akin to a fool's dream. With this time, it was better to seek another way. For instance, the administrative building next door. The third floor has a skybridge leading directly to the activity building, allowing for direct access. Unlike the teaching building, the administrative building primarily houses club activity rooms. At this time, there are not many people in the activity building, making it safer compared to the teaching building. Right now, this is the only option. Roar. The zombies in the corridor roared, having detected Su-Han's presence, abandoning their food on the ground and rushing over with howls. Seeing the zombies charging towards him, Su-Han narrowed his eyes. These few zombies were just the right subjects to test the power of his lightning ability. The lightning power surged within him, and lightning flickered in his hand. Watching the sparks in his palm, the violent lightning struck the air with a crackling sound. With a flick of his arm, a lightning bolt shot out, striking the charging zombies, who convulsed grotesquely before turning to ash. Seeing this scene, a thrill of joy flashed in Su-Han's eyes. The power of this lightning ability was truly impressive. In his excitement, Su-Han waved his arms, repeatedly transforming into a lightning sovereign as bolts of lightning burst forth, incinerating all the zombies that came running. Thud, thud. One charred corpse after another fell, and Su-Han began to hear system notifications in his ears. Kill a common zombie, gain 1 point, current points 8. Thud, thud. One charred corpse after another fell, and Su-Han began to hear system notifications in his ears. Huh. The corpse that had fallen to the ground staggered and got back up, its face unrecognizable from gnawing, letting out an unconscious howl. Seeing this, Su-Han blinked without hesitation, waving his hand as lightning flashed, instantly turning the zombie to ash. Kill a common zombie, gain 1 point, current points 15. Crossing the corridor to the skybridge, it was covered in blood and corpses, with zombies howling mindlessly. Seeing this scene, Su-Han understood. It was clear that a portion of students had the same idea as him and had rushed into the administrative building earlier than him even. Attracted some zombies over. He needed to move faster. Thinking of this, Su-Han charged towards the zombies blocking his way. Before he got close, the lightning shot out first. Many zombies didn't even notice Su-Han's presence before being turned to ash. Kill a common zombie, gain 1 point, current points 18. Kill a common zombie, gain 1 point, current points 20. Kill a common zombie, gain 1 point, current points 30. As he recklessly unleashed, the power of lightning notifications rang in his mind, and with his points skyrocketing, the excitement on Su-Han's face grew stronger. Roar. Whether it was because Su-Han was too arrogant or the sound of lightning was too loud, several zombies noticed Su-Han's presence, abandoning their previous sluggishness and charging at him with ferocious expressions. Watching the zombies charging at him, Su-Han raised his hand to unleash his lightning power, but just then a wave of weakness suddenly swept over him, causing his face to pale as he nearly collapsed. What's happening? Struggling against the discomfort in his body, Su-Han shifted to dodge the rushing zombies, asking in his heart system, what's going on? Why can't I use the lightning ability? Host, your lightning ability is currently at LV1. The lightning power is not infinite. Your frequent usage has drained it, so naturally you cannot unleash the lightning. After hearing the system's explanation, Su-Han felt relieved. As long as it wasn't a problem with his body, everything was fine. He had indeed wasted some lightning power on his way here. Roar. The roars of zombies echoed again. Suhan tightened his grip on the self-defense stick, his gaze cold. A mere few zombies, even before being empowered by his lightning ability, he wouldn't have feared them, let alone now. He might not be able to use lightning power now, but physically he was in perfect condition. In fact, he was even faster and stronger than before. Whoosh. The self-defense stick swung, making a whistling sound in the air, and a few zombies were quickly dealt with. Rushing along the skybridge, which was several dozen meters long, there were quite a number of zombies along the way, including some that had just been bitten and were only now rising as zombies. Suhan didn't let a single one escape. These are all points. Reaching the end of the skybridge and standing at the entrance of the administrative building, Suhan glanced down at the bent self-defense stick in his hand. After eliminating dozens of zombies, this stick had reached the end of its lifespan. This thing is no longer useful. However, it was essential to have a weapon. Thinking of the weapon card from earlier, Suhan focused his mind, and a prop card appeared in his hand. Random weapon card. After use, you can randomly obtain any weapon, including, but not limited to, swords, guns, and rifles. Looking at the description, Suhan found it acceptable. Use. Ding. Random weapon card used successfully. Weapon extraction in progress. Ding. Congratulations, host. You've obtained the Cold Weapon 100 Refinements Divine Weapon Extreme Shadow, and the item has been sent to the system space. 100 Forged Divine Weapon. Extreme Shadow. What kind of weapon is this? Hearing the prompt sound echoing in his mind, Suhan felt curious and opened the system space with a thought. Before him, a faint blue light screen appeared, revealing a black and gold �13 that measured over a meter in length. Extreme Shadow. Type �13. Quality level 1. Characteristics incredibly sharp, can cut hair, and sever iron like mud. It's actually a �13. After reviewing the attributes of Extreme Shadow, Suhan felt unexpected joy, as well as a bit of relief. A �13 is quite good, although he doesn't know any sword techniques. What sword technique is needed to deal with zombies? As long as the blade is fast and accurate, that's all that matters. If he had a gun, that would be a headache. Although firearms are powerful, the noise is a problem. A single shot would attract all the zombies in the building. Moreover, with limited ammunition, once the bullets run out, a gun would be no better than a firewood stick. Not to mention, he had never touched a gun and wouldn't know how to use one. The �13 is simply perfect. With a thought, Suhan felt a weight in his hand. A cold sensation coursed through his arm and into his mind. Looking down at the �13 in his hand, a glint of astonishment flashed in Suhan's eyes. Viewing it through the system interface and holding it in his hand offered entirely different visual effects. The �13 is completely black, adorned with golden patterns along the hilt and sheath, exuding an aura of grandeur and heavy mystery. Gripping the hilt, he exerted a bit of force, drawing the �13 from its sheath. A silver cold light flashed, and a chilling aura rushed toward him. What a fine weapon. An exceptional weapon. Looking at the �13 in his hand, a smile of delight appeared on Suhan's face. With this blade, killing zombies would be as easy as a tiger with wings. Even if his internal lightning energy ran out, he wouldn't have to worry about his safety. Sheathing the sword, Suhan stood on the overpass looking down at the campus. At this moment, the entire school was in chaos, with zombies visible in every corner of the campus. At a glance, he could hardly see any living people. Occasionally he would spot a few, but they were all bitten and close to death. Turning to look behind him, the teaching building at the end of the overpass was in disarray, the corridor filled with the scent of death. Only zombies were walking around, not a single living student was left. In just a few minutes, the entire third floor had fallen. Retracting his gaze, he looked at the nearby administrative building, walked to the entrance, turned around to close the door, and propped it shut with a mop. The goal of this action was to prevent the zombies from the teaching building from flooding in. Now that he possessed lightning abilities and held 100 forged divine weapon like Extreme Shadow, he had changed his mind. Normally, the rooftop would indeed be the safest place where one could await rescue and have ample time to devise a means of escape. But that applies to ordinary people. He is no longer an ordinary person. He has a system. Killing zombies can earn him points, and points can make him stronger. What is the point of hiding on the rooftop now with the system in existence? The teaching building is chaotic, filled with numerous zombies posing a high danger level, but the administrative building doesn't have as many zombies. Even if some have been brought over by a few students, the number is extremely limited. He could easily clear them all out and use the administrative building as a base to strategize for the entire school. To live a life, one must have some pursuits. Power, authority, women, it's all the same. In this apocalypse, isn't it just a matter of taking what he wants? Clang. The �13 was drawn, its icy blade emitting a faint cold light. After securing the sheath, Suhan glanced at the empty corridor before him, a smirk appearing as he stepped forward. On the 4th floor of the administrative building, in the swordsmanship department. Inside the vast swordsmanship department, one could hear a pin drop. Kneeling on the impeccably polished floor was a graceful girl with alluring curves. Attention all students. Attention all students, an unknown riot has occurred on campus. Please find a safe area and wait for rescue. Repeat. Repeat, please find a safe area and wait for rescue. The broadcast echoed in the silent swordsmanship department. The girl kneeling on the floor slowly opened her eyes, a flicker of confusion and worry crossing her wynard gaze. Riot. Her cold, crisp whisper reverberated in the swordsmanship department. As shallow space, 𝑃 picked up the wooden sword beside her and slowly stood up. Bang. The door of the swordsmanship department was suddenly pushed open, and a boy wearing a black school uniform appeared at the entrance. Shallow space senpai, hurry. Hurry, there are monsters in the school, and the students have all turned into monsters. No, the students were bitten to death by the monsters, and then turned into biting monsters. Senpai, hurry up. If you don't leave now, it will be too late. The boy at the entrance of the swordsmanship department had a pale complexion, was drenched in sweat, and spoke incoherently, his eyes filled with fear. Roar. A low growl came from outside, and with a roar a shadow lunged at the boy at the entrance of the swordsmanship department, a blood-soaked maw aimed at his neck, biting down. Blood splattered as the boy's piercing scream echoed inside the swordsmanship department. Witnessing the horrifying scene at the entrance shallow space, 𝑃's pupils constricted. She moved her feet, reaching the door at an incredibly fast speed, swinging her wooden sword, which struck the zombie's head. Thud. With a dull thud, the zombie's head exploded, its body knocked aside by the impact. It hurts. It hurts. Shallow space senpai, am I going to die? Am I going to become a monster like them? The boy, holding his neck in terror, crawled to his feet, his legs wobbling, leaning against the wall, his eyes filled with the fear of death. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to become such a monster. Senpai, do you know? I saw Inada bitten to death by Hayafumi Then, Inada got back up, all the students changed, turned into monsters. Senpai, I really like you. Cough, 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 spit. Watching the boy gasping for breath, his pupils gradually turning ashen shallow space, 𝑃 glanced at the corpse on the ground, seemingly realizing something. What's your name? I am Intion Ben coughed violently, spitting out a mouthful of dark blood, his complexion growing increasingly pale. You are a qualified warrior. Are you ready? Gripping the wooden sword tightly, shallow space, 𝑃's expression remained unchanged. Staring blankly at the extraordinarily beautiful shallow space, 𝑃 and Intion Ben realized something, a glimmer of hope flashing in his eyes as he raised his head like a pilgrim. Wu bang! The wooden sword sliced through the air with a whistling sound, and Intion Ben's head exploded, blood splattering, and his body fell to the side. After finishing all this shallow space, 𝑃 put on a nearby pair of small leather shoes and quickly left the swordsmanship department. Can't wait for me, you must wait for me. Roar. A low guttural roar of a zombie echoed through the air, accompanied by a barely perceptible sound of flesh being crushed. A grotesque head flew into the air, blood gushing forth as the headless corpse stumbled a few steps before collapsing to the ground. Killing a regular zombie, 1 point, current points 67. The sound of a notification echoed in his mind. Standing at the end of the third-floor corridor, Suhan glanced down at the corpse beneath his feet, drops of black blood dripping from the tip of his tang knife onto the floor. Turning around, he saw countless zombies sprawled across the corridor, which extended over 100 meters. After dealing with all the zombies on the third floor, Suhan let out a sigh, and with a thought, the attribute panel appeared before him. Character Suhan. Strength 15. Agility 17. Intelligence 12. Constitution 17. Rank level 0. Points 67. Items Extreme Shadow. Ability Lightning Ability LV1. Energy 250. Lightning Ability current level LV1. Experience required for upgrade 23,100. This was Suhan's first time opening the attribute panel after activating the system and acquiring the lightning ability. Compared to before, his attributes had nearly doubled thanks to the enhancements brought by the lightning ability. Looking at the attributes before him, Suhan pondered, could he now be considered a little superhuman? Why is he still at level 0? System, what's up with this rank? How can I break through to level 1? To break through to level 1, any attribute needs to exceed 20 points. Upon hearing Suhan's inquiry, the system quickly provided an answer. Any attribute exceeding 20 points. Suhan glanced at the attribute panel. His highest was only 17 points, still quite a distance to go. System, what must I do to break through to level 1? Are there any requirements? There are 3 methods. The first is to consume points to enhance attributes. The second is to advance the lightning ability, which will indirectly enhance attributes. The third is to purchase genetic potions in the system shop, which can enhance the 4-dimensional attributes after consumption. There are so many ways to enhance strength. Suhan immediately became interested. System, please elaborate on these 3 methods. The first method allows you to enhance any one attribute by consuming 10 points. The second method lets you exchange points for ability upgrade experience at a 1:1 ratio. The third method involves purchasing a basic genetic potion for 100 points, which will enhance the four-dimensional attributes based on personal const. The system's answer was quite detailed, and Suhan's heart raced as he listened. All three methods seemed quite powerful. However, compared to the latter two, using points to enhance attributes felt a bit wasteful. To enhance 1 point of an attribute, it costs 10 points. 100 points would only yield a 10-point increase. If he used that to upgrade the lightning ability or purchase a basic genetic potion, the attributes gained would certainly exceed 10 points. Calculating it out using points to enhance attributes seemed to be the most wasteful method. Comparatively, upgrading the lightning ability appeared to be the more reliable choice. Of course, it was only relatively reliable. He hadn't forgotten that the system just mentioned a system shop. According to the typical tropes in system novels, the shop must contain many good items, and he could probably buy even lightning abilities with points. Upgrading the lightning ability through killing zombies would suffice, so there was no need to waste points. Good steel should be used on the blade. System, open the shop for me. As soon as he finished speaking, a light blue screen appeared before him. Suhan focused, and the shop filled with a dazzling array of items almost made his eyes blur. Abilities, bloodlines, weapons, techniques, items with 5 categories in total, with abilities being the foremost displayed on the interface. Ice ability purchase to gain ice elemental power capable of releasing ice abilities. Initial level LV1, purchase cost 100 points. Lightning ability purchase to gain lightning power capable of releasing lightning abilities. Initial level LV1, purchase cost 15000 points. Light ability purchase to gain light power able to attack and heal. Initial level LV1, purchase cost 200 points. Destruction power purchase to obtain destruction power capable of annihilating everything. Initial level LV1, purchase cost 100 points. Chaos power purchase to obtain chaos power capable of using chaos magic, creating from nothing and annihilating everything. Initial rank LV1, purchase cost 800 points. At first glance, everything seemed normal, but as he continued to scroll down, Suhan's expression darkened. 10000, 80000. Are you serious? Although Suhan understood that destruction power and chaos power were incredible, wasn't the price a bit outrageous? Even if he bought them, they would only be LV1. If he wanted to create a living being from nothing, he had no idea how many levels that would require. In any case, the initial chaos power could at best create some useless toy or a knife. Anything more powerful was out of the question. However, Suhan had gained some insight. The system shop indeed had great items, and using points to enhance attributes or experience was truly unwise. System, don't you think I'm poor? After all this time, I've only got 67 points. When will I ever afford anything in the shop? Had you ever considered this question? Suhan was hungry for more. He truly craved it. The shop was filled with wonderful items, and he wanted them all. But he was genuinely poor, although he could earn points by killing zombies. With prices starting at 10000, how long would it take him to gather enough points? Ding. Random task issued. Occupy the administrative building and clear all zombies inside. The task is time limited to 3 hours, and completion will reward 500 points. Oh, what? Suhan blinked, confusion evident in his eyes. He had just complained about his poverty, and the system promptly issued a task. This doesn't feel right. System, if I fail to complete it within 3 hours, there won't be any penalties, right? Suhan wore a suspicious expression. In typical system novels, failing tasks often leads to some ridiculous punishment, and he certainly didn't want to fall into such a trap. System, host, do you have a persecution complex? This system is not like those flashy, deceptive systems in novels. This system only issues tasks. Whether you complete them or not has nothing to do with the system. After all, it's not the system that suffers losses. Shouldn't it be the host who incurs the greatest loss? I don't know if it's just my impression, but in the crisp, youthful voice of the system, Suhan detected a strong sense of disdain and exasperation. He felt so embarrassed he could almost carve a 3-bedroom apartment into the floor. Novels can be quite harmful. However, this system is truly humane. He complained about being poor and immediately got a task. What does that mean? The child who cries gets the milk. Silently grumbling in his heart, Suhan didn't slow down as he quickly made his way to the stairwell and headed to the 4th floor. 500 points, wow. This was quite a substantial amount of points, and Suhan was determined not to miss out on it. Upon arriving at the 4th floor, Suhan initially didn't notice anything amiss, but soon discovered that something was wrong. Why were there so many zombie corpses in the corridor, all killed with a single blow? Their heads exploded. Not only was the force sufficient, but the striking locations were all the same. All signs indicated that there was a master among them. Was there really such a master in the administrative building? A single strike that guarantees death, each move lethal. Suhan surveyed the bodies on the 4th floor, discovering that without exception, all the corpses had been struck at their temples, the wounds small, yet their brains had turned to mush. This is a master. Without long-term training, one cannot achieve such precision, nor wield strength so perfectly. In any case, he could not do that. All he could manage was to smash a zombie's head, with a single blow relying purely on brute strength, while his opponent utilized skill. After circling the 4th floor, Su-han's steps finally halted in front of a sliding door. Swordsmanship Department. Looking up at the 3 large characters on the door, Su-han understood. If it were a master from the Swordsmanship Department after long practice with profound skills, they could indeed achieve a single strike kill with pinpoint accuracy. Glancing at the 2 corpses on the ground, Su-han turned to leave the Swordsmanship Department, heading straight for the 5th floor via the stairs. The masters of the Swordsmanship Department were irrelevant to him, and as long as they did not provoke him, Su-han was too lazy to care. What he needed to do now was clean up the zombies in the administrative building. The cleaning task had a time limit of 3 hours and over 10 minutes had already passed. It was better to complete it as soon as possible. With the �13 Dao in hand, Su-han arrived on the 5th floor. The corridor was very quiet, with the polished floor and tidy walls bearing numerous bloodstains. A few scattered zombies wandered aimlessly in the corridor, appearing exceptionally quiet, occasionally letting out a low rumbling growl. A few minutes later, the entire 5th floor fell silent. The few zombies collapsed on the ground, their bodies severed. Stepping up the blood-soaked stairs to the 6th floor, before even stepping out, Su-han heard the sounds of roars coming from the corridor. The roars of zombies, the screams of the living, and the bang-bang of doors colliding together created an unbearable cacophony. Are there still living people? As this thought crossed his mind, Su-han couldn't help but raise his head in confusion, glancing at the stairs leading to the rooftop. What he could see was the walls covered in bloody handprints and large bloodstains, with several corpses that had been trampled to death, their faces twisted in agony. Seeing this scene, Su-han did not rush to enter the 6th floor, but climbed the stairs directly to the rooftop. Standing at the rooftop door, which was locked, Su-han could only imagine how desperate the students rushing up from below must feel upon witnessing this scene. Not being able to reach the rooftop explains why there are still screams from the 6th floor. Returning to the 6th floor, Su-han held his �13 Dao as he entered the corridor, looking left and right. A large number of zombies were piled up on both sides of the corridor, at least dozens. These zombies were frantically pounding against the tightly closed doors, and with each collision a piercing scream echoed, filled with despair and collapse. Shaking his head, Su-han didn't know how to comment. You're yelling so loudly. Do you fear there aren't enough zombies outside, or that they're dying too slowly? Whether zombies have poor vision is unclear, but their hearing is certainly intact. Yelling so loud really shows they are dissatisfied with the pace of death. Why are you screaming so loudly? Is it helpful? Screaming hoarsely will only excite the zombies more. However, looking at the throng of zombies crowded together in front, completely oblivious to him, standing behind, Su-han smiled. Thank you for drawing their fire. With dozens of zombies charging at him, his only option was to retreat. The corridor was too narrow for him to make full use of his abilities. With his knife raised, Su-han dashed forward like the wind, arriving behind the many zombies. The extreme shadow slashed through the air, cutting through it effortlessly, and heads began to fly, blood spraying like a fountain. The extreme shadow was incredibly sharp. Cutting through these zombies was like slicing tofu, offering no resistance whatsoever. Thud, 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 the sound of heads rolling echoed, and as headless corpses collapsed, a series of notifications rang in Su-han's mind. Killed, ordinary zombie points 1, current points 74. Killed, ordinary zombie points 1, current points 89. Killed, ordinary zombie points 1, current points 101. Acting swiftly, each strike lethal, heads rolling, corpses falling. Before these zombies even realized what was happening, Su-han had eliminated them all in the corridor, leaving behind a ground full of bodies. After dealing with the zombies on this side, Su-han turned to the other side. As for the students hiding in the activity room, he had no time to attend to them right now. He didn't know if it was the shrill screams from the activity room that attracted all the zombies' attention, but Su-han wiped out all the zombies on the 6th floor with hardly any effort, the ease of it, all giving him an unreal feeling. With a soft thud, killed, ordinary zombie points 1, current points 135. The last corpse fell. With all the zombies on the 6th floor eliminated, Su-han glanced at the tightly shut door of the activity room, turned on his heel, and left without looking back. The zombies couldn't break in, or it was clear that furniture was blocking the door. He was too lazy to care about the students inside. The urgent task now was to clean up the zombies on the 3rd floor and below, and perhaps check out that master who just came out of the swordsmanship department. He had just remembered that there indeed seemed to be a master in the swordsmanship department. A very famous one. Asakami Mei, the granddaughter of Sword Saint Asakami Junichi, the captain of the swordsmanship department, who had won the national swordsmanship competition in the Sakura Empire last year, hailed as a goddess by countless people. The title of goddess is not mere flattery. Asakami Mei not only possesses incredible strength, but is also strikingly beautiful, her cold elegance making one feel inferior and unable to meet her gaze, revered as the absolute goddess by countless students. Because of Asakami Mice influence, Shirami Academy gained fame overnight, attracting a large number of students to transfer. Suhan only knew of Asakami Mei, but had never seen her. He had only crossed over 3 days ago, and had not joined the swordsmanship department, so it was entirely normal not to have met her. Passing through several floors to reach the second floor, as soon as he stepped out of the corridor, the roars of zombies reached him first. Roar! A foul wind assaulted him. Watching the zombies rushing towards him, Suhan casually waved his tang, dao, slicing through the air with a silver-cold light, and the approaching zombies had their heads severed in an instant. Thud thud thud. With consecutive strikes, several zombies near the stairway were eliminated. After finishing this, Suhan looked to his left. The stairs he had come down from were on the left side, only about 20 meters from the end of the corridor. There weren't many zombies in the 20-meter corridor, only about a dozen. After eliminating these dozen zombies with no worries behind him, Suhan finally relaxed a bit, and turned to look back at the corridor behind him. At the end of the corridor, a tall figure with black hair wielding a wooden sword darted among the corpses, moving swiftly. Each swing of her wooden sword brought down a zombie. Following closely behind her was a mature woman with light beige long hair, wearing a white blazer and a black pencil skirt, outlining an astonishingly attractive figure. As she hurried along, she created impressive waves. Seeing the black-haired girl in blue school uniform at the forefront, a flash of astonishment crossed Suhan's eyes. Asakami Mei. On the 3rd floor of the administrative building in the swordsmanship department. Concerned about Asanami Kyuka, Asanami Maiko did not dare to linger. With her parents long deceased, and her grandfather being stern and serious, her only close relative was her aunt Asanami Kyuka, and she did not want her beloved aunt to become a monster. Having practiced swordsmanship for many years, Asanami Maiko moved swiftly. There were not many zombies in the corridor, posing little threat to her, as any zombies that charged at her were instantly dispatched by her wooden sword. After eliminating over a dozen zombies, Asanami Maiko felt that something was amiss. With every zombie she killed, it seemed her strength received a slight enhancement. Initially imperceptible, it wasn't until she had slain a dozen zombies that she realized she was becoming stronger. The most evident change was in her speed and strength, both of which had improved. Although the increase was minimal, perhaps only a fraction of a percent. But this was indeed a tangible enhancement. This discovery struck Asanami Maiko as absurd. How could she grow stronger by defeating zombies? This is not a game. Yet no matter how unbelievable it seemed, it was true. After dispatching over a dozen zombies, she truly became stronger. With time pressing, she could not afford to ponder the reasons behind this phenomenon. The priority was to rescue Asanami Kyuka. She harbored a vague worry. As she eliminated these zombies and grew stronger, would the zombies that devoured the living also become stronger? If that were the case, it would be terrifying. The days ahead would surely be exceedingly difficult. She dashed down the stairs to the 2nd floor, and just as she descended, a few zombies lunged at her. Like a shadow, she evaded the lunging zombies. Asanami Maiko's expression was icy, and with a swift motion, her wooden sword struck the heads of several zombies with a whoosh as it sliced through the air, producing dull thuds as they fell. Having eliminated those zombies, she felt another slight enhancement in her strength. Gripping her wooden sword tighter, a hint of excitement flickered in her wide eyes. She yearned to grow stronger, otherwise she wouldn't have practiced swordsmanship tirelessly for over a decade. Now that monsters roamed freely, it seemed she had found a way to rapidly increase her strength. Looking at the dozens of zombies in the corridor, Asanami Maiko took a deep breath, suppressing the restless killing intent and blood energy within her, and dashed towards the infirmary. Her aunt was the doctor in the infirmary, frequently spending her time reading or napping there. As she approached the infirmary, seeing the shattered glass on the floor and the wide-open door, Asanami Kyuka's face paled. Roar! Roar! Aunt! A scream echoed from the infirmary. Hearing that scream, Asanami Maiko's heart skipped a beat, and she rushed inside. Inside the infirmary, Asanami Kyuka leaned against the door, struggling to hold it shut against the zombies outside. When she heard the broadcast, she sensed something was wrong. Before she could call to inquire about the situation, she heard the roars from outside and the terrified screams of students, which grew ever closer. Before she could exit the infirmary, a girl was tackled in front of the door, followed by rushing monsters that tore her apart on the ground, leaving Asanami Kyuka herself in crisis. With zombies crashing in, she found herself with no escape. Thankfully, the infirmary was large and contained patient rooms. She raced into a patient room, barricading the door before the zombies could enter, but unfortunately her strength was too feeble. Under the relentless battering of the zombies, the gap in the door widened, and a zombie's arm had already reached inside, frantically scratching. Roar, roar. The zombies continued to slam against the door, and seeing their hands coming closer, Asanami Kyuka was on the verge of breaking down. Someone save me. Maiko, where are you? Hurry and save your aunt. In despair, it felt as though a nerve in Asanami Kyuka's mind snapped. A surge of overwhelming power suddenly erupted within her. With a scream, she pushed the door back with sheer force, but unfortunately a zombie's arm was stuck, preventing the door from closing completely. Bang! Bang! Dull thuds echoed from outside the door as the zombies' roars grew weaker and fewer until they completely vanished. Huh! Realizing that the pressure behind the door had disappeared, 𝑃 let out a soft gasp. Only then did she notice that the roars of the zombies outside had also ceased. What happened? And are you in there? Are you okay? Standing outside the patient room, 𝑃 shook the blood off her wooden sword, her gaze fixated on the door, filled with trepidation and unease. She was now very afraid, fearing that once the door opened, 𝑃 would be infected. If that were the case, she truly did not know if she could harm her own, and as she felt she would break down. Inside the patient room, hearing the clear sound from outside, 𝑃's expression brightened. She had heard that sound for countless years. Maiko. Suddenly throwing open the door, 𝑃 saw her graceful niece standing before her and exclaimed joyfully, rushing forward to embrace Maiko. "Whoa, my dear niece, I thought I was going to die. I thought I would never see you again." As 𝑃 dashed towards her, Maiko's keen eyes swept over her aunt's entire body, confirming there were no wounds or blood before she finally breathed a sigh of relief. This meant that 𝑃 had not been infected. Just as she relaxed, Maiko suddenly felt a wave of suffocation. How infuriating. Let go of me. I can't breathe. Maiko was genuinely running out of air. Although her figure was far beyond that of an average adult woman, she was still a few levels below her aunt 𝑃. As a child, she had nearly drowned in this embrace, this annoying excess flesh. Oh, I'm sorry, I got too excited. Hearing Maiko's muffled voice, 𝑃 calmed herself and quickly released her hold. Grateful to be rescued, Maiko gasped for air, her translucent face turning a shade of pink. Looking at the mature beauty before her, Maiko found herself at a loss for words. Roar! The low growl of a zombie echoed from outside the door. Maiko suddenly turned, confronting a zombie that had appeared at the doorway, wooden sword at the ready. "And now is not the time for talking. Stay close behind me and be careful. I will take you away from here to safety." 𝑃 nodded, choosing not to speak and allowing Maiko to focus. Bang! Bang! With each strike, despite wielding a wooden sword, Maiko demonstrated the power comparable to that of a katana, delivering fatal blows as every zombie that approached was dispatched. As she continued to eliminate more zombies, Maiko could increasingly feel her strength gradually rising. However, as the number of zombies she defeated grew, so did her physical exhaustion. Crash! Suddenly a window beside her shattered, glass scattering everywhere as a zombie crashed through, clawing towards Maiko. "Maiko, be careful." As the national swordsmanship champion, she reacted the moment the glass shattered. Without needing any reminder from 𝑃, she noticed the bloodstained claw. With an unchanged expression, she struck the zombie's head with a swift blow. After dispatching the creature, Maiko let out a sigh of relief, but just as she turned, she felt a sharp pain on the back of her hand. Looking down at the cut on her hand from the shattered glass, Maiko furrowed her brows slightly, realizing she hadn't even noticed when she had gotten injured. As she rushed forward, killing over 30 zombies along the way, she could feel her stamina and reflexes significantly declining. No matter how much she tried to adjust her breathing to conserve energy, her strength was already waning. For instance, she had been fully focused on evading the shattered glass earlier, yet the back of her hand had still been cut. In her prime, that would have been impossible. "Yako, you're hurt. Let me take a look and treat you." Seeing the wound on Yako's hand, Maiko recalled the ability she had just acquired and felt a strong desire to test if it was real or not. Earlier in the infirmary, in her moment of despair, she had felt a surge of mysterious power and knowledge related to healing. She was unsure of its authenticity, but now that Yako was injured, albeit a minor cut, it was a perfect opportunity to try it out. Calmly retracting her hand, Yako thought it would be for bandaging or something similar, but time was of the essence. "Aunt, there's no time. Step back, the monsters are coming." Perhaps the sound of the glass shattering had been too loud. The nearby zombies turned their attention toward Yako, their ash-gray pupils fixated on her, as their grotesque nostrils flared as if they had caught a whiff of living flesh. They instantly entered a frenzied state, howling and rushing toward her in numbers exceeding a dozen. The onslaught of over a dozen zombies was a tremendous challenge for Yako. If it were during her prime, she might have managed, but now her stamina was severely depleted and her body could not keep up with her reflexes. Yako also saw the horde of zombies rushing in and retreated a distance away, not wanting to become a burden for Yako. In truth, she genuinely wanted to test whether her newly acquired powers were real. If they were, it would be incredible. She wouldn't need medicine anymore. A simple gesture could heal wounds. Amidst the frantic roars, the zombies charged forward, the stench of decay overwhelming. Yako pushed off the ground and dashed away in an instant. Waiting for the zombies to come at her was indeed a way to conserve energy, but she would lose the initiative, which was extremely disadvantageous for her at this moment. Rather than wait, it was better to take the initiative to quickly slay the monsters at her own pace. Bang! Bang! With her unique footwork, Asakawa Yako danced like a graceful butterfly among the zombies, her wooden sword swift and precise, striking each zombie's head lightly. Those struck by her blade had their heads burst open, collapsing to the sides. This was the Asakawa family's legendary footwork and swordsmanship. Her grandfather, the sword saint Asakawa Junichi, had secured his title through this very technique, remaining unchallenged to this day. Last year, she had won the National Swordsmanship Championship using this very footwork and sword technique. As the zombies fell one by one, beads of sweat formed on Asakawa Yako's forehead, and her previously elegant and serene face grew pale. In the span of just a few seconds, utilizing her family's swordsmanship and footwork, Asakawa Yako had swiftly dispatched over 10 zombies. A trickle of weak energy replenished her body, but it was far too meager to sustain her. Looking at the last 2 zombies before her, Asakawa Yako struggled to lift her wooden sword to strike. A wave of fatigue washed over her, and the intense focus caused a sharp pain in her head. Just as everything went dark, she collapsed forward. Oh no, Yako! From a distance, Asakawa Kyoko watched in horror as Asakawa Yako fell to the ground. She wanted to rush over, but the distance was too great. She couldn't make it in time, and could only watch helplessly as the claws of the 2 zombies reached for Asakawa Yako. No, don't. Just when Asakawa Kyoko felt despair, a flash of silver light cut through the air, and the heads of the 2 zombies flew into the air, their uncontrolled bodies stumbling forward and collapsing to the ground. Filled with despair, Asakawa Kyoko stared in astonishment at the scene before her, her gaze lifting only to meet the equally dazed eyes of Suhan. With meticulously styled, tousled hair, deep eyes filled with killing intent, and a neatly tailored black school uniform with a disheveled tie that seemed to have been violently tugged, revealing a glimpse of a collarbone, he held a long knife that pointed towards the ground, droplets of blood slowly dripping. Looking at Suhan, who appeared like a divine warrior, Asakawa Kyoko swallowed hard. He was just too handsome. When did Private Chungmei Academy have such a handsome and manly boy? Could it be that she had been too lazy, sleeping in the infirmary every day, and missed out on him? Wah! If only she had met him earlier, she wouldn't have been single until now. Every day being nagged by her niece had made her ears calloused. How outrageous. Suhan was also stunned, feeling slightly dizzy from a distance, and now that he was closer, he felt even more disoriented. How magnificent. This must be at least AG. But the problem was the mature beauty before him was not overweight at all. Her slender waist was no thicker than his grasp, and her skirt exaggeratedly flared out, showcasing her long, smooth legs. It was hard to believe such a figure actually existed. Beyond her figure, the woman was stunningly beautiful, with enchanting eyes and wynard irises shimmering with water-like luster. Her delicate face glowed, and her slightly parted lips reflected her deep astonishment. Yako, what's wrong? Don't scare me, wake up. It's all my fault, I've dragged you down. I'll treat you right now. Snapping back to reality upon seeing Asakawa Kyoko rushing over, Suhan cautioned, she's just exhausted, not injured. Treatment won't help, and it's best. Staring in shock at the white light emanating from Asakawa Kyoko's hands, Suhan was dumbfounded. What was this? Normally people's hands don't glow right. Moreover, the most absurd part was that as the white light infused into Asakawa Yako, the pallor on her face visibly faded at an astonishing speed. Suhan was utterly bewildered. Could it be that this woman also has a system? Suhan's worldview was about to collapse. No way is a system as common as cabbage. Does everyone have one? System, what is going on? Surely there can't be a distinction between male and female systems, right? You are female, and that woman opposite me possesses a male system. Or do you have a twin sister system? Suhan was astonished and hurriedly inquired in his mind. Host, your imagination is truly rich. This system is unique, one of a kind. And why do you speak so unpleasantly? What do you mean by female? I am a woman. Moreover, that woman merely awakened her abilities under certain specific conditions. She does not possess a system. Systems are not common commodities, truly. After hearing the system's explanation, Suhan sighed in relief. He thought that the woman before him also had a system, which startled him. Awakening abilities. Looking down at the gradually recovering complexion of Asaka, one must admit that her abilities were quite impressive. Under normal circumstances, Asaka in this state would need at least a day or 2 to recover, but it seems she would awaken soon. A slight pained groan emerged. Asaka slowly opened her eyes, her dazed gaze fixed on the anxious face of Asaka Kyoko, weakly asking, Aunt, what happened to me? I seem to have. Seeing Asaka awaken, Asaka Kyoko was overjoyed, tightly embracing her, and speaking with a choked voice, you truly scared me. When you collapsed, I felt as if the sky was falling. Thankfully, this person. What was your name again, classmate? Asaka Kyoko looked up at Suhan. Suhan gasped, seeing Asaka May in his arms, her breath stifling, and hurriedly said, "My name is Suhan from Class C of the 3rd year. Miss, if you don't let go, she might suffocate." Huh. Asaka Kyuka initially did not understand, but after a couple of seconds, she realized and quickly released Asaka May. Nevertheless, Asaka May's face was pale from lack of air, clearly on the verge of passing out. It turned out that chest tightness could indeed be fatal. What an eye-opener. Taking deep breaths of fresh air, Asaka May had never felt such happiness in simply breathing fresh air. She never would have expected that instead of dying at the hands of those monsters, she almost suffocated in her aunt's embrace. Had she not known her aunt's personality since childhood, she would have thought Asaka Kyuka was going to kill her. With a resentful glare at Asaka Kyuka, Asaka May struggled to stand up. She just wanted to get away from Asaka Kyuka to avoid dying by accident. "Suhan-kun, I will never forget your kindness. If you ever need me, Asaka May will never refuse." She got up and bowed deeply to Suhan, realizing who had saved her life. Well, strictly speaking, it was 2 lives. As she spoke, Asaka May glanced at her aunt beside her, only to find Asaka Kyuka giving her a reproachful look, filling Asaka May with questions. "You almost suffocated me, and now you have the nerve to blame me. What did I do? You flatter me, it was just a small effort." Suhan stepped forward to support Asaka May's arm, helping her up, and marveled at her beauty. Asaka May was indeed the goddess in the hearts of countless students at the Private City Beauty Academy, with long black straight hair reaching her waist, a cold yet elegant face, and her blue school uniform paired with a black knee-length pleated skirt, accentuating her perfect figure. Although not as stunning as Asaka Kyuka, she far surpassed many mature women. However, recalling the titles exchanged between the two earlier, looking at Asaka May's head of black hair, and then at Asaka Kyuka's light-colored long hair, Suhan couldn't help but wonder if these two were related. Why does Suhan-kun have such a strange expression? Is there something on my face? Noticing Suhan's odd expression, Asaka May asked in confusion. Coming back to reality, Suhan dared not mention what he had just thought, changing the subject. "I just remembered a joke from our country, also about saving someone's life." Asaka May paused slightly, listening intently. "I'd like to hear more." The story goes that an unattractive man saved a young and beautiful girl. The girl told the man, "In gratitude for saving my life, I will repay you in my next life, even if it means becoming a beast of burden." Sometime later, the girl found herself in danger again, but this time a young and handsome man saved her. Guess what she said? What did she say? Asaka May and Asaka Kyuka both looked puzzled. The girl replied, "In gratitude for saving my life, I can offer myself to repay the kindness of the benefactor." Suhan chuckled. "So I was just thinking, am I not attractive? Otherwise, why didn't Asaka classmate offer herself?" As his words fell, he noticed Asaka May and Asaka Kyuka's serious expressions. Suhan raised his hands in a gesture of innocence. "I was just joking to lighten the mood. If you wish it to be, so May has no objections. However, after winning the national swordsmanship competition last year, I vowed that only those who defeat me in swordsmanship among the younger generation may become my husband. Without trust, one cannot establish oneself. If you can defeat me in swordsmanship, my skills and knowledge will be yours to command, and if it's you, I can wait as long as needed." After saying this, Asaka May seemed to feel she was being somewhat unfair to Suhan. After a moment of thought, she spoke again. "If you need, I am willing to share all that I have learned." Asaka Kyuka, you dare to share the Asaka family's sword techniques? Wouldn't it have been better to simply agree? Why go through all this trouble? Feeling somewhat displeased, Asaka Kyuka thought back to how they were classmates in the same academic year. Why not introduce such quality resources to her? It turned out they were reserved for herself. Without delving into Asaka Kyuka's thoughts, Suhan was quite surprised after hearing Asaka May's previous words. Honestly, he was just making a joke to amuse himself, yet Asaka May took it seriously. Moreover, from her words, it seemed that this was not merely being generous, but rather a full-on floodgate opening. She could teach her family's sword techniques. Truly absurd. Although he never planned to let Asaka May off easily, he was willing to use his own methods. Now that Asaka May was willing to offer herself, he had no objections. Of course, teaching sword techniques was one thing. He was confident he could defeat Asaka May. "I appreciate Asaka classmates' kind intentions, but I still have confidence in my own abilities. This isn't the place for discussion. Let's leave first." Looking at the corpses scattered around, Asaka May nodded. "Suhan-kun, please don't call me Asaka classmate anymore. Oh, just call me May. If it's you can call me that." This relationship has progressed quite rapidly. Indeed, being handsome allows one to do as they please. 4th floor of the Administrative Building Swordsmanship Department. After clearing away the 2 obstructive corpses at the entrance, Suhan looked at the 2 girls, Akiyama Yako and her companion, who were kneeling on the floor to rest. He said, "I have already dealt with the zombies on the 5th and 6th floors. You can rest here for now while I take care of the zombies on the 1st floor. Once the main door is closed, the entire building will be completely safe." Having said that, Suhan turned to leave. He didn't forget the random task issued by the system, which was worth 500 points. Akiyama Yako and her companion were merely a side note. Right now points were the most important. Points equate to strength. Only with strength can one do as they please. Without enough strength, he couldn't defeat Akiyama Yako, and he could only watch. Behind Suhan, Akiyama Yako looked stunned. When she met Suhan on the second floor, she thought it was a coincidence, but now it seemed not to be. This man did not wish to remain in a corner waiting for rescue. Instead, he had greater ambitions. Killing zombies could make one stronger. Suhan was certainly aware of this. If the world descended into chaos, it would be an era of rising heroes. And Suhan clearly had ambitions to reign. Realizing this, Akiyama Yako felt she needed to do something. Wait, I'll go with you. Struggling to stand up with her wooden sword propped against the ground, Akiyama Yako shocked her companion Akiyama Kyoka with her determination. This niece must be seriously ill. Hearing the voice behind her, Suhan turned to glance at Akiyama Yako and frowned. You should stay here and recuperate. In your current state, going with me would only be a hindrance. After being mercilessly reprimanded by Suhan, Akiyama Yako lowered her head and did not refute. She understood that she had acted impulsively. I'm sorry I didn't think it through. I will rest here and wish you great fortune in your endeavors. Satisfied with Akiyama Yako's attitude, Suhan pushed open the door and left the swordsmanship department. As the door closed behind him, Akiyama Yako leaned against the wall, closing her beautiful eyes and operating her family's heart technique to quickly restore her state. Akiyama Kyoka observed everything closely. From what she knew about her niece, the girl was only behaving this way because she didn't want to be a burden. Once her strength was restored, she would definitely run out. The girl has grown up, her heart will naturally run away, and she has learned to guard her interests. After all, how could she have endured for so many years? Akiyama Kyoka sighed, a trace of helplessness flashing across her mature and beautiful face. Forget it, she wouldn't be the old cow eating tender grass. It was hard to find a boy she liked, but he was just too young. Achoo. Rushing down to the first floor, Suhan grinned as he looked at the mass of zombies on the ground. Just as he was about to charge in, he suddenly sneezed, nearly losing his balance. Rubbing his nose, Suhan looked bewildered. Who's praising me for being handsome? Or is it because they're thinking about my 20-centimeter sword? It can't be Yako, right? Could it be Kyoka? Reflecting on the greatness that nearly suffocated Akiyama Yako, Suhan swallowed hard. Is this something a man can refuse? With a loud sneeze, Suhan attracted the attention of the wandering zombies on the first floor. They turned their ghastly faces toward the staircase, their previously vacant expressions instantly turning feral. Roar. Madness. All the zombies fell into a frenzy, driven by the scent of a living person and fresh blood, their desire for evolution compelling them to rush towards Suhan on the stairs. Rubbing his nose and looking at the zombies rushing up the stairs, Suhan smacked his lips. He had initially planned to sneak downstairs quietly, solving a few zombies discreetly, and the remaining ones wouldn't be too difficult. However, everything was ruined by a single sneeze. You spoiled my good plans. If I find out who it was, I'll definitely give her an unforgettable lesson. Roar. What the hell are you shouting about? You're the only one who can shout, right? Shouting at the dozens of zombies racing toward him, Suhan leaped down the stairs, his Tang Dao extreme shadow slicing through the air in a silver arc. In an instant, several zombies in the front row had their heads severed. Thud, thud, thud. Holding extreme shadow, Suhan exerted force under his feet, his agility at 17, making him incredibly swift. The many zombies flailed their arms, missing completely, and occasionally the sound of teeth clashing could be heard as several zombies bit the air. Blood sprayed and limbs scattered everywhere. As Suhan passed through, zombies fell in droves, their numbers visibly decreasing under his ruthless scythe. Killing ordinary zombies points 1, current points 151. Killing ordinary zombies points 1, current points 160. Killing ordinary zombies points 1, current points 187. The notification sound echoed in his mind as Suhan rampaged through the horde. Ordinary zombies were no match for him, and soon the zombies on the first floor were cleared, leaving only a sea of corpses and a blood-soaked Suhan. Standing amidst countless corpses, a blood mist faintly enveloped Suhan, the malevolent aura nearly taking on a solid form, instilling fear in those who gazed upon him. Clang, the Tang Dao vibrated as all the blood splattered on its blade was shaken off, the cold blade glinting with a dazzling chill. Glancing at the corpses strewn around, Suhan exhaled a breath of turbid air, too easy to defeat. Arriving at the entrance of the administrative building, he looked at the numerous zombies wandering on campus and proceeded to close the main door, locking it securely. With everything done, Suhan's tense nerves relaxed as he sat down against the door. Though the battle was short, the physical exertion was quite severe. If there had been more zombies, he would have had to retreat and wait until he recovered before clearing them. Fortunately, he had resolved the situation quickly and quietly, so the wandering zombies on campus were not attracted. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome. After resting for a while, Suhan stood up. The notification for task completion had yet to appear, indicating that there were still zombies on the first floor that had not been cleared. Carrying his Tang Dao, Su-han walked down the corridor, pushing door after door. Little zombies, be good, and open the door. Uncle wants to come in, and open your forehead. Humming his own adapted song, Su-han walked through several classrooms, without finding any zombies until he reached the last classroom at the end of the hall. Before he could push the door open, he heard faint zombie growls from inside. Oh, here they are. A smile crept onto Su-han's face as he pushed the door, but it didn't budge. This didn't stump Su-han. With a single slash of extreme shadow, the classroom door was easily opened. Entering the classroom, Su-han's expression turned strange as he looked at the zombies inside. This seems a bit extravagant. Inside the classroom, a girl in a school uniform was bound to the corner of a desk with rope, and he could faintly hear a weak buzzing of electricity. Surveying the female student, he found no obvious wounds, indicating she had undergone a natural mutation rather than being bitten by another zombie. The people from the Sakura Empire really know how to play. Their binding skills are quite impressive. What a pity. With a sweep of extreme shadow, the girl's head rolled away, and as her head was severed, her struggling body fell still. Killing ordinary zombies. Points 1. Current points 188. Su-han slowly typed the question mark. He had searched the entire first floor, and the female student before him was the last zombie. Now that he had killed them all, why hadn't the task completion notice appeared yet? Could it be that there was a zombie he missed? Or perhaps that there were infected students in the 2 rooms on the 6th floor? What a hassle. Turning around to leave the classroom, Su-han quickly searched the entire floor, then moved to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors. Upon reaching the 4th floor, he paused as he saw students walking in the corridor. What was going on? The main door of the 3rd floor was still closed. Where did these students come from? Did they come down from the 6th floor? This thought emerged in his mind, and aside from that, Su-han couldn't think of any other explanation. But the problem was, shouldn't there be zombies on the 6th floor? Could it be that these students came out from one of the classrooms while another classroom had fallen? After considering it for a while, Su-han felt that this was the only possibility. Ignoring the strange and even fearful gazes of the students in the corridor, Su-han set off toward the swordsmanship department. As he passed by, the students along the way stepped aside in fear, their eyes filled with terror. Su-han knew what these students were afraid of. He had killed so many zombies and was covered in blood, making him appear quite terrifying. They probably thought he had been infected. Arriving at the entrance of the swordsmanship department, Su-han froze for a moment as he looked at the 2 male students standing at the door. Weren't these the 2 lackeys who had blocked him in the bathroom? How did they end up here? Moreover, judging by their demeanor, could it be that 𝓃 𝑗in's that fool was inside the swordsmanship department? What a joke. Heaven had a path, and he didn't take it. Hell had no door, and he barged in, eager to throw himself into danger. Frowning, Su-han wasn't worried about the safety of a Semiyako. No matter how weak a lion was, it wouldn't allow a mongrel to pull its mane. If 𝓃 𝑗in's dared to do anything, he was actually worried that 𝓃 𝑗in's wouldn't withstand a single blow from a Semiyako's wooden sword. That could genuinely be lethal. A one strike could easily splatter his brains. Su-han walked straight toward the swordsmanship department. The 2 lackeys saw him from a distance and were initially quite scared, but as Su-han approached, they finally got a clear look at him. Wasn't this the kid they had previously blocked in the bathroom? Upon recognizing Su-han, their arrogance immediately surged. Kid, you were lucky before. The outside chaos saved you, and the boss had no choice but to let you go. But now your luck has run out. That's right, isn't it better to stay alive? If you obediently shrink back into the crowd, we might not even notice you. But you daring to show your face, don't blame us for being rude. We'll break your legs and throw you in front of the boss. He'll be very happy. Shima Xiong and Murata Kozo approached menacingly, brandishing table legs they had obtained from who knows where, their eyes sizing Su-han up as they considered where to strike first. Su-han had nothing much to say to these 2. They were trash lackeys. He hadn't dealt with them before because of the peaceful society, and since this was the Sakura Empire, if he acted, he would undoubtedly be the one at a loss. But now it was different. 2 piles of stinking dog shit. If they offended him, they would die. This world was a parallel universe of Earth with a highly similar history. The only difference was that the Sakura Empire in this world was not as miserable as the island nation on Earth. It had a complete regime, and the White Eagle Empire did not have troops stationed here. Likewise, the change in history and the integrity of the regime had made the Sakura Empire increasingly arrogant. Not only did they feel no guilt about the invasion events of the past, but they also frequently made bold claims internationally. Not just high-ranking officials, even the common people displayed a notably on various forums. The most common sentiment was a regret for not being born in that era, otherwise they could have indulged. One could say that the entire Sakura Empire top to bottom was rotten, with only a few individuals still possessing a conscience. For these pigs and dogs, Su-han felt it was not excessive to kill as many as he wanted. Kid, why are you not speaking? Are you scared, silly? As long as you kneel down, I can show mercy and only break one of your legs. How about it? The atmosphere buzzed, and as a cold light flashed, Shima Xiong and Murata Kozo's grins froze on their faces. The light in their eyes gradually dimmed, and a line of blood slowly appeared at their necks. Thud thud, two heads refusing to close their eyes fell to the ground, and their uncontrolled bodies collapsed to the sides. In the corridor, the students who witnessed this scene turned pale with terror and screamed. They killed someone. You devil. How dare you kill the subordinates of young Master �13? Jean, you have such boldness. Hearing the voices from both sides, Su-han's cold gaze swept over, and a wave of murderous intent surged forth. The students in the corridor trembled all over and instantly fell silent. Shut up, or I'll send you all on your way. Upon hearing Su-han's words, all the students shook in fear, quickly covering their mouths with their hands, not daring to utter another word. Although history had changed the nature of the citizens of the Sakura Empire, who were inherently bullies of the weak and fearers of the strong, had not altered in the slightest. They revered the strong and bullied the weak. As long as you were strong enough, they would be the most loyal dogs, willing to take beatings and insults. Regardless of how harshly you struck them, they would respond with smiles. But if one day you fell from power and were no longer strong, these people would return the bullying 1,000-fold. Looking at these terrified students, a trace of disdain flashed in Su-han's eyes as he coldly said, I currently find you all very displeasing. I do not like you looking me in the eye. Kneel down. Thud, thud. Without Su-han needing to utter any harsh words, as soon as the two words kneel down left his mouth, the students in the corridor, regardless of gender, hurriedly knelt on the ground, showing no backbone whatsoever. Even as Su-han scanned their faces, he could see not a shred of resentment. What he could see was only sycophancy and flattery. A bunch of worthless bones. With a cold snort, he looked at the tightly closed door in front of him and casually pushed it, causing the swordsmanship department door to swing open. Inside the swordsmanship department, �13's greedy gaze subtly swept over Asama Yako and Asama Kyuka, but his face displayed a serious demeanor. Asama, you don't need to be afraid. I've already called my father. He said he can handle the family chaos at the latest by tomorrow, and will send a helicopter to pick me up. Those monsters are nothing to be afraid of. You know I'm very strong now, completely capable of protecting you. I can harness the power of the wind. This is definitely the divine power bestowed by Amaterasu. I am the chosen one, the divine child. Mere monsters are like clay dogs in front of me. Asama, I wonder if you've informed Sword Saint Ming. I have long admired Sword Saint Ming. My �13 family is also considered one of the notable families in Jichuan. If we could form a good relationship with the Asama family, it would definitely benefit both sides greatly. I've heard that Asama swore before that if they could defeat you in swordsmanship, they would have a chance to pursue you. To be honest, I would love to give it a try. I have no other intentions. Buzz, the air buzzed, and �13 looked at the wooden sword that suddenly appeared before him, the wind from the sword cutting painfully against his face. Struggling to swallow, his eyes filled with fear. If you cracked, the door to the swordsmanship department was pushed open, and Su-han's figure appeared at the entrance. Looking at the bizarre scene before him, Su-han raised an eyebrow. Oh, you're all here. Not long after Su-han left, the door of the sword Dao department was pushed open again. Asuka May thought it was Su-han returning, but to her surprise, the repulsive figure of �13 appeared before her. Being a student of the same grade, and considering �13 was also from a prominent family, Asuka May naturally recognized him. Asuka May didn't like �13 at all. The young masters of wealthy families were almost all the same, abusing their family's power to bully others and committing all sorts of wrongs. �13 was one of the worst. In her weakened state, Asuka May did not want to deal with �13. The world was chaotic, and she wished to avoid unnecessary trouble for now. However, he stubbornly lingered in the sword Dao department, incessantly chattering away. The disgusting gaze he cast made her wish she could cleave him in two with a wooden sword. Asuka Kyoka felt uncomfortable beside her. She despised �13's greedy gaze that seemed to want to devour her, but since she was used to such looks, it didn't bother her too much. After all, she couldn't see anything significant, and losing a piece of meat was no concern. She wasn't foolish. Given Asuka Mai's poor condition, she sensed a dangerous aura emanating from �13 something she hadn't felt before. She suspected that �13 might have awakened some ability, just like her. If so, it would not be good to provoke him rashly for both her and Asuka May. Boredly looking at her delicate hands while listening to �13's incessant chatter, she felt like she was about to lose her mind. Why was there such a vast difference between her and Su-han, even though they were both students? Unfortunately, this tender young grass did not belong to her. Aside from an initial moment of amazement, this boy hardly glanced in her direction, leading her to doubt whether her age had diminished her charm. Logically speaking, don't young boys usually like her type? What went wrong? She couldn't understand. In reality, it wasn't that Su-han wasn't looking. It was mainly because Asuka May was staring at him with her eyes wide open. Was that proper? Just because of your looks? The more Asuka Kyoka compared, the more uncomfortable she felt. With �13 babbling beside her, she felt like she was about to explode. Just as she was about to erupt, a humming sound filled the air and a wave of murderous intent surged from beside her. Asuka Kyoko was startled and quickly looked at Asuka May only to find a cold light flashing in her eyes, her previous weakness completely gone. She had recovered. Asuka Kyoko felt a surge of joy in her heart. Her earlier concerns about Asuka May were now gone, and the look of disgust on her face was now completely unrestrained. Do you know how annoying you are? If you say one more word, I'll kill you. Do you think you qualify to be my husband? With the wooden sword pointed directly at �13's face, Asuka Mai's gaze was icy, and a violent murderous aura surged all around her, firmly locking onto �13 as if she was ready to kill at any moment. Locked in this murderous aura, �13 nearly wet himself in fear. At that moment he had no doubt that if he said another word, the wooden sword in front of him would take his life. He did not think his head was as hard as a steel plate. He had seen Asuka May cut through a steel plate with a single blow using a wooden sword, and since then not only he, but many young masters from wealthy families had quickly lost their ambitions. The pride of having awakened abilities was shattered in that instant. He now doubted whether Asuka May had also awakened some ability. There was no reason for someone as talented as her not to. I understand. With his voice trembling, �13 felt his dignity being trampled underfoot by Asuka May, but he did not dare show any anger. Neither the current Asuka May nor the Sword Saint Asuka Junichi were figures his family could contend with. The connections of the Asuka family were not something his Tongue family could compare to. Creak, the door of the Sword Dao department was pushed open, and Suhan's figure appeared at the entrance. Observing the tense scene before him, a glint of amusement flickered in Suhan's eyes. Good heavens, this guy really wasn't afraid of death. However, looking closely at �13 Suhan was quite surprised to feel a hint of danger emanating from him. Good heavens, this guy really wasn't afraid of death. However, looking closely at �13 Suhan was quite surprised to feel a hint of danger emanating from him. An ability too. This truly was a case of heaven being blind. However, �13 was not a big deal. With a simple flick, he could be killed. Suhan didn't take the sense of danger to heart at all. Oh, everyone is here. Isn't this young Master Tongue? After a while of not seeing you, you've become so bold. Sniff. What's that smell? Could it be someone wet their pants? Saying this, Suhan waved his hand in front of his nose. The reactions of the few people in the Sword Dao department varied upon Suhan's arrival. Asuka Kyoka's eyes lit up. This was so similar to the miraculous appearance she witnessed on the second floor. She even doubted whether Suhan was her destined partner, always arriving at critical moments. However, glancing at Asuka May, who also wore a joyful expression and had retracted her murderous aura, Asuka Kyoka pouted and sighed inwardly. Alright, the destined partner belongs to someone else. Strangely, Asuka Kyoka felt a twinge of jealousy towards her niece. Unlike Asuka Kyoka, Asuka May was genuinely surprised. She had only been bluffing earlier, she was still too weak, and after resting for over 10 minutes her recovery was minimal. As a master of the sword, she could sense the danger emanating from �13 Earlier her feelings of indignation had merely been a buildup of suppressed energy. If a real fight broke out, she wouldn't last long. Now that Suhan had arrived, she felt completely at ease, and her gaze towards him softened considerably. This could strictly be considered the third time Suhan had saved her. In stark contrast to the two girls, �13's mood was far from good. Having been humiliated in front of Suhan, the old grievances and new grudges combined, and �13 instantly exploded. Shut up, you lowly pig from Xia country. Who allowed you to come in? Not killing you before was just your good fortune, and now you dare to appear before me. I want you dead. �13's face twisted in rage like a mad beast. He roared, Murata Kozuka, are the two of you dead? Get in here now. Raising an eyebrow, Suhan turned to point at the corpses at the door and asked, are you calling for those two? You guessed it right, they really are dead. I killed them, no need to thank me. �13's Looking at the two corpses at the door, �13's felt dazed. They really are dead. He had just said that offhand. Suddenly looking up at the mocking Suhan, �13's eyes turned red, and he raised his arm, quickly condensing a blade of wind in his hand. You should die. I'm going to flay you alive. Blade of wind. �13's roared, swinging his arm, as a half-foot-long wind blade shot out, slicing through the air towards Suhan. Wind-type ability. Seeing this scene, Suhan scoffed. Lightning flickered in his hand, piercing through the Tang Dao, and with a casual wave the wind blade was effortlessly dispelled in midair. Is that it, Suhan's voice echoed in the Sword Dao department, staring in shock at the shattered wind blades in midair. �13's eyes filled with disbelief. He never expected that his proud wind blade would be destroyed. Looking at the flickering lightning on Suhan's blade, �13's clenched his fists and exclaimed in exasperation, so what if you possess divine power? Only I will emerge victorious in the end. Die for me. �13 Zuotaro frantically waved his hands, unleashing a flurry of wind blades. Now that he knew Suhan also possessed divine power, he planned to go all out. He didn't want to drag this out any longer. A sense of unease crept into his heart as he felt that the situation was slipping out of his control. �13 Zuotaro was desperate, while Suhan also did not want to waste time with him, moving swiftly towards �13 Zuotaro, charging through the oncoming wind blades. With the power of lightning coalescing beneath his feet, Suhan resembled a streak of lightning, dodging the wind blades that came at him and slicing through the ones he could not evade, covering several meters in the blink of an eye. Suhan's speed was astonishing, startling �13 Zuotaro, who became even more frantic, throwing wind blades as if they were free, trying to stop Suhan's approach. Die. Die for me. Why won't you die? �13 Zuotaro's eyes were bloodshot, nearly going mad. Suhan was moving too fast. All his wind blades missed, and those that didn't were shattered. In the blink of an eye, the distance of several dozen meters was closed. Looking at the nearly faceta-faced �13 Zuotaro, Suhan grinned, his smile chilling. Hello. Clang. The Tang Dao rang out, and the bright blade flashed by, filling �13 Zuotaro's eyes with terror. No. You can't kill me, my father will send. Before �13 Zuotaro could finish his words, a burst of blood splattered, and a perfectly fine head flew into the air. In midair, �13 Zuotaro opened his mouth, seemingly wanting to say something, but could not utter another word. Thud. As the body fell, looking at �13 Zuotaro's head rolling away, Suhan shook his head. I told you before to keep a low profile. If it weren't for the peaceful society, you wouldn't have made it past the second chapter. You didn't listen, and look, now you're dead. So what were you trying to prove? After a moment of contemplation, Suhan turned his gaze to the nearby shallow interval Yazi and asked, what did this guy say before he died? He died too quickly. I didn't catch it. What was his father going to do tomorrow? If I'm not mistaken, he wanted to say his father would send a helicopter to rescue him tomorrow. He mentioned it before. I'm not sure how true it is. Isn't this just hitting the young one and the old one coming? Suhan was unafraid. Oh, let them come. It was just a companion on the road to the underworld. However, he guessed that �13 Zuotaro's father would definitely not come. At most, he would send someone to pick him up. The hope of both father and son returning home was slim. Ding. Random task completed. Occupy the administrative building. Eliminate all zombies. Reward 500 points. The system's prompt suddenly sounded, leaving Suhan bewildered. He hadn't even been to the 6th floor. How did the task get completed out of nowhere? System, did you encounter a bug? Hearing Suhan's inquiry, the system promptly replied, there is no bug. You misinterpreted the task. Occupying the administrative building and eliminating all zombies are two separate tasks. You completed the zombie elimination task on the 1st floor, and killing �13 Zuotaro completed the task of occupying the administrative building. Except for the deceased �13 Zuotaro, all survivors in the administrative building have expressed their submission to you. All tasks are complete. After listening to the system's explanation, Suhan understood that he had long completed the task. It was just that �13 Zuotaro, the mouse droppings, had caused his task to remain incomplete. Fortunately, he had killed this guy. Otherwise, even if he searched the administrative building 100 times, he wouldn't have completed the task. Thinking of this, Suhan glanced at �13 Zuotaro's corpse, wishing he could stab it a few more times. With the battle concluded, shallow interval Jingxiang, who had been at the edge, approached Suhan, her wide eyes examining him up and down, increasingly amazed. Was that lightning just now the power you awakened? I hadn't seen you use it before. The teacher thought you relied solely on swordsmanship to make it to the 2nd floor. I didn't expect you to be this powerful. As she spoke, shallow interval Jingxiang glanced intentionally at shallow interval Yazi beside her. Someone should be careful. It won't be long before they are completely consumed. Shallow interval Yazi's face flushed pink. Shallow interval Jingxiang had been awake and didn't know Suhan possessed lightning powers, while she who had fainted halfway knew even less. Thinking of the things she had said to Suhan before, she wished she could find a crack in the ground to hide in. She had watched the whole battle between Suhan and �13 Zuotaro. With the enhancement of lightning, Suhan's speed was incredibly fast. Even if Suhan didn't know any sword techniques, she might not necessarily be able to defeat him. Thinking of Suhan's lightning power and �13 Zuotaro's wind elemental power, shallow interval Yazi felt a wave of melancholy. Why hadn't she awakened that kind of power? Not mentioning shallow interval Yazi's melancholy, Suhan picked up �13 Zuotaro's corpse and tossed it outside the sword Dao department. A corpse in the sword Dao department was too much of an eyesore. In the corridor, seeing the corpse that Suhan had thrown out, the group of kneeling students wore expressions of greater awe and flattery. They knew how formidable �13 Zuotaro was. A single wind blade could blast a large hole in the wall, and he considered himself a deity and savior. Such a powerful �13 Zuotaro had been killed, so they dared not harbor any hatred towards Suhan in their hearts. There was only endless flattery and attempts to please. Noticing the students' gazes, Suhan sneered coldly, ignoring them as he closed the door and turned back into the sword Dao department. Approaching shallow interval Yazi, who was deep in thought with her head down, Su-han said, "Stop, standing, sit down, and rest well. I have cleared out the zombies in the administrative building. Once you're rested, I hope you can come with me. Go out. To kill those monsters. Sure, I also want to increase my strength." Shallow interval Yazi nodded. Seeing Su-han's combat power, she became even more eager to enhance her abilities. What are you talking about? I was planning to ask you to go to the supermarket for food. What do you mean by increasing strength? Is there something about this apocalypse that I don't know? Seeing Su-han's expression was off, shallow interval Yazi was confused. Su-han, did I misunderstand? Or did I say something wrong? Noticing that shallow interval Yazi did not seem to be joking, Su-han thought for a moment and bluntly asked, "Were you just talking about killing monsters to increase strength?" "Yes." Shallow interval Yazi nodded, not suspecting anything. Isn't it strange? Actually, I was also shocked and found it unbelievable when I realized it. Killing those monsters actually increases my strength. It feels just like the games those boys play. Su-han must have realized this too, which is why you were so eager to kill monsters. Staring blankly at shallow interval Yazi, Su-han dryly laughed twice. I truly discovered a ghost." Qianjian Yazi said nothing, and Su-han truly had no idea that slaying zombies could bolster one's strength. He had felt no increase in power. He had only received points, and nothing more. What was going on? Before Su-han could ask, the system provided an explanation. When you kill a zombie, the energy you obtain is converted into points. Ordinary people like Qianjian Yazi, lacking a system, automatically absorb the stray energy in minuscule amounts. Only about 20 or 30% at best, not even half. Ordinary people must slay dozens of zombies to raise a single point of strength or agility. You, however, possess a system so none of that energy dissipates, it simply manifests as points. Huh, that effective. Hearing the system explain it, Su-han instantly felt as though he had struck gold. To take the most basic attribute points as an example, if he kills 10 zombies, the points earned can raise one current attribute point. Qianjian Yazi and the others would need to kill dozens. The speed of improvement is not even on the same scale. Moreover, his points could be exchanged in the shop for rarer items. When you go, could you take me with you? Qianjian Jingxiang, who had been sitting beside them, spoke meekly. Though she had resolved to matchmake Su-han and Qianjian Yazi, she felt oddly resentful and longed to become stronger herself, so she could not help but speak up. Back when Su-han had not returned, she had endured 𝓃 the pest, for a long time because she lacked strength. If she had been stronger, she would have stomped that nuisance out with a single kick. Now that killing zombies could grant power, she wanted to grow stronger too. Slaying zombies was not like studying swordsmanship. It demanded no refined technique. She was not cut out to learn the sword, but she could certainly kill zombies. She was ambitious and besides could serve as a wingman. Turning to look at her aunt Qianjian, Yazi hesitated a little. Qianjian Yazi knew better than anyone how little combat power Qianjian Jingxiang possessed. If she brought her aunt along, she was unsure she could keep her safe. The campus was far more dangerous than a corridor. A single lapse could mean a zombie's grab or bite would be fatal. "Aunt, you really? Since teacher Qianjian wishes to go, then let us go together." Before Qianjian Yazi could finish, Su-han agreed at once. Qianjian Jingxiang's ability was remarkable. Although she lacked combat prowess, her healing was extraordinary. Indeed, it hardly seemed like ordinary healing. What healer could even dispel a state of total weakness? This was utterly beyond reason. The potency and output of an ability are tied to the user's own strength. Qianjian Jingxiang's power therefore possessed immense potential for cultivation. Staring at Su-han in disbelief, Qianjian Yazi could not understand why he would bring Qianjian Jingxiang. Bear in mind, Qianjian Jingxiang had no fighting ability and might even be a hindrance. "I refuse." Qianjian Yazi flatly refused, her beautiful eyes fixed on Qianjian Jingxiang. "Aunt, please do not make things worse. We are not going out for fun. Wait until there are fewer zombies and it is less dangerous. If you still want to go, then I will take you to experience it." "But Qianjian Jingxiang wanted to protest, but under Qianjian Yazi's uncompromising gaze, her voice dwindled. Having calmed Qianjian Yazi turned to Su-han. Her tense expression eased and her tone softened. "Su-han, I know you mean well, but fighting those creatures is no joke. My aunt can be easily harmed, and I cannot bear the consequences of her injury. My aunt is just an ordinary person. With me here, she need not possess great strength. I can protect her." Scratching his head, Su-han glanced at Qianjian Jingxiang, who lowered her head like a wronged child, then at the solemn Qianjian Yazi. He was puzzled. During his long absence, had Qianjian Jingxiang told her nothing? "Yazi, I have a question." After a moment's thought, Su-han asked, "Did you not know that teacher Qianjian also possesses an ability? When you went limp before, it was teacher Qianjian's healing that brought you around so quickly. Teacher Qianjian's ability has tremendous potential. Once her strength improves, the effects will be terrifying, which is why I want to bring her along. This idea is the result of careful thought." Qianjian Yazi tilted her head, eyes vacant, as if she might break apart. What? My own aunt has an ability. At Suhan's words, Qianjian Yazi froze. How did everyone have an ability while she alone had none? She had been worrying about Qianjian Jingxiang only to realize the joke was on herself. Seeing Qianjian Yazi fall suddenly silent like a withdrawn child, Suhan did not know what to say. Well then, what a devoted aunt she had never mentioned it all this time. Very well. If aunt wishes to go, then go. Qianjian Yazi's voice was heavy. At once Qianjian Jingxiang perked up. Wonderful. Qianjian Jingxiang exclaimed, throwing herself at Suhan and wrapping her long slender arms around his head. Suhan was utterly stunned. Such grandeur, an experience he had never known. He felt blissful though a little breathless. Hey, what are you doing? Let go. Seeing the scene, Qianjian Yazi's eyelids twitched. Goodness, flirting in front of me. Could she tolerate that? She forcefully separated Qianjian Jingxiang, and Suhan fixing her aunt with an icy stare. She half suspected her aunt would pry into every corner of her life. Mind your own business, let the world be. Suhan sat as if in meditation like an old monk, though inwardly he felt a deep reluctance. Under Qianjian Yazi's icicle gaze, Qianjian Jingxiang obediently placed her hands on her thighs, though her heart was far less composed than her expression suggested. After glaring at her aunt for a while, Qianjian Yazi sighed. Since aunt possesses an ability, then come along. But remember not to stray too far from Suhan and me. If danger arises, we must be able to render aid immediately. And another thing. Glancing again at Qianjian Jingxiang, Qianjian Yazi warned, aunt, please refrain from any conduct that would tarnish the Qianjian family's dignity. After all, Suhan is a young man, and he is the future husband I approve of. Muttering inwardly, Qianjian Jingxiang did not wish to retort. If you are protective, say so plainly. No need for so many pretexts. Oh, I wouldn't hesitate to embrace him myself. You little brat, raised all these years for this. Anne understands. Now hurry and rest, do not keep Suhan waiting. What she thought could not be said aloud, so Qianjian Jingxiang pinched her nose in apology. Qianjian Yazi said nothing, sat back down, and began to restore her strength. After more than half an hour, Qianjian Yazi opened her eyes. I am rested, we may depart. What are they doing? At the entrance of the swordsmanship department, as soon as the door opened, she saw a line of students kneeling neatly in the corridor, both male and female. Seeing this scene, Akino May frowned slightly. Glancing over the many students, noticing the flattery and servility on their faces, Suhan's eyes flashed with a hint of sarcasm and disdain. It's nothing. I just found them unpleasant, so I let them kneel. Understanding what was happening, Akino May stopped asking questions, and even became too lazy to glance at these students, completely treating them as air. If it weren't for the strange feeling she had when she first saw this scene, she wouldn't have bothered to ask at all. In her eyes, there were only Suhan and Akino Kyoka, who everyone else was as inconsequential as air. Taking all of this in, a slight smile appeared on Suhan's face as he stepped forward with Akino May quietly following beside him. Watching the unfolding scenes before her, Akino Kyoka's eyes sparkled with intrigue. Suhan's previous demeanor was cold and domineering, filled with an aura of power. For her, and most women in the Cherry Blossom Empire, this was like a deadly poison, addictive. In the Cherry Blossom Empire, women idolized strong men. Everything Suhan exhibited was nothing short of a dream ideal. Unfortunately. With a troubled glance at Akino May's back, Akino Kyoka felt quite vexed. Why did she encounter such a high-quality prospect so late? And what are you thinking about? Walk faster. Akino May called out, noticing Akino Kyoka lagging behind. Stomping her foot, Akino Kyoka hurried to catch up. As they descended the stairs, Suhan did not notice Akino Kyoka's small actions, talking about his discoveries as he walked. I don't know if you've noticed, but zombies are highly sensitive to smell and sound. Their vision is secondary. Once we go downstairs, be careful not to make too much noise to avoid attracting large numbers of zombies. Additionally, I need to mention another issue. My previous suggestion to go downstairs and kill zombies to enhance our strength is one aspect, but the main reason is to gather some supplies from the supermarket as food. These points were what Suhan had discovered earlier. While in the corridor, the zombies were at a distance, and he had not made a sound, yet he was still detected. At that time, the distance was barely over 20 meters, and the zombies could see him, yet they exhibited very obvious behaviors akin to dogs sniffing for scents before charging towards him. This indicated that the zombies' sense of smell was superior to their vision. Akino May and Akino Kyoka both listened attentively to Suhan's analysis. When Suhan finished speaking, Akino May asked, Suhan-kun, are the zombies you mentioned those creatures that chase and bite people? Why do you call them that? Hearing Akino May's question, Suhan found it no surprise. In this parallel world, there were no zombie-themed animations, novels, or movies. From now on, don't call me Suhan-kun. It sounds weird, and I'm not used to it. Just call me Suhan. As for the zombies you mentioned, my understanding is that they are mindless dead beings that bite indiscriminately. After all, these monsters have no signs of life, and are akin to the undead. The term zombie seems more reasonable than monster. Suhan spoke at length, but in reality, he was just rambling. Although he was just making stuff up, Akino Mei and Akino Kyoka found it quite reasonable, and as Suhan said, zombie indeed felt more fitting than monster. Looking at Suhan, who appeared relaxed and confident, Akino Kyoka felt a deep sense of despair within. With his strong combat power, decisive and ruthless personality, and masculine charm, if it were someone else, she would have already tried to steal him. Besides Suhan, Akino Mei was equally moved. Ever since she acknowledged Suhan, everything he displayed had captured her attention, far exceeding her standards. If it weren't for the vow she had made earlier, she would have wanted to respond to Suhan right now. Reaching the first floor, looking at the dozens of corpses on the ground, Akino Mei's rosy lips parted slightly, her eyes filled with surprise and shock. She could handle dozens of zombies herself, but that was under certain conditions. In such a confined space as this, she simply couldn't manage it, yet Suhan not only did it, but emerged completely unscathed. She realized that she seemed to have underestimated Suhan's strength. In reality, Akino Mei had made a mistake. She was holding a wooden sword, which had limited lethality, while Suhan wielded a first-tier weapon, Shadow Edge. With a single strike, cutting off a zombie's head was as easy as chopping tofu, taking out several at once. How could that be compared? Arriving at the entrance, Suhan turned to Akino Mei and Akino Kyoka, pondering for a moment, yet still decided to provide them with some safety assurance. At the very least, he couldn't let them use wooden swords. Not only were they physically exhausting, but they also had low lethality. Akino Mei was certainly not someone he would overlook for the woman he envisioned for the future. Suhan was not one to hold back naturally. As for Akino Kyoka, he had already gotten a taste of her. How could he let her go? It's not that he wasn't human, but simply that she was too attractive. Could a person really refuse that? Clearly not. Unless one had a psychological issue. Opening the system shop, Suhan accessed the weapons interface, and soon a vast array of weapons appeared before him. Standard Tang Dao of superior quality, extremely sharp, priced at 10 points. Standard Katana of superior quality, extremely sharp, priced at 10 points. Standard. Glancing at these ordinary weapons, Suhan bypassed them, directly heading straight for first-tier weapons. Miao Daozhan Qian, a masterfully crafted weapon, extremely sharp, capable of cutting hair from a distance, priced at 100 points. Demon Blade Muramesa, a masterfully crafted weapon, extremely sharp, capable of cutting hair from a distance, priced at 100 points. Demon Blade Muramesa. Suhan wasn't just familiar with it, this blade had a very rich historical significance on Earth. System, is this Demon Blade Muramesa genuine? Cough, is it the real deal? Suhan asked out of curiosity, almost slipping up. Host, all products sold in the system shop are absolutely genuine. You can purchase with confidence, this system does not deceive. Suhan had only asked casually since the Shadow Edge was already quite effective. Ding. Purchased Demon Blade Muramesa, deducted 100 points, item has been sent to temporary space, please check. Ding. Purchased Katana by Hua, deducted 100 points, item has been sent to temporary space, please check. Having spent 200 points to purchase 2 first-tier divine weapons, Suhan closed the system shop, but a new problem arose. How was he going to give these 2 swords to Akino Mei and the others? He didn't have a bag or anything on him, and suddenly pulling out 2 large katanas would seem quite unreasonable, right? Now Suhan was troubled. What to do? Seeing the change in Suhan's expression, Akino Mei noticed something and asked Suhan, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Should we go back and rest for a bit? Looking up at the 2 girls with worried expressions, Suhan scratched his chin, thinking it over, and simply decided to take a risk, reaching down. Mei, come here, I have a big treasure to show you. Akino Mei. Akino Kyoka. You. What on earth are you doing? Asami Miko lost all composure. Not only Asami Miko, Asami Kyoka was utterly stunned. Drawing a firearm in broad daylight. How audaciously bold. Yet surely this location is hardly appropriate. This is the first floor littered with corpses. Is haste truly necessary? Could this boy harbor some peculiar predilection? A mature woman's perspective, after all, differs profoundly from that of a young girl. Unlike Asami Miko, she did not whirl away like a startled rabbit. Instead, she watched Suhan's movements with quiet curiosity. Her reasoning was simple, she had already been bitten. What harm could there be in merely glancing? Surely one may reclaim what one has lost. Yet as Suhan moved, Asami Kyoka's rosy lips parted wider and wider. Then, though she'd never tasted pork, she'd certainly seen pigs run. Countless images appeared with a single search online. Yet Suhan's great treasure looked decidedly off. Upon seeing the katana Suhan drew forth, Asami Kyoka stood dumbfounded. This is your great treasure. Are you flirting? Suhan was certainly not flirting. Though his gesture lacked refinement, what he produced was undeniably a genuine treasure. Is the demonic blade Muramesa not a treasure? A tier 1 divine weapon. Its edge so sharp it severs hair midair and cleaves iron as though it were soft clay. Worth 100 points. One must slay 100 zombies to purchase a Muramesa from the system shop. It is exceedingly precious. If used to enhance attributes, it grants a full 10 attribute points, sufficient for anyone provided they're not utterly feeble to break through into Tier 1. Teacher Asami, how do you find my great treasure? Impressive, isn't it? Suhan winked mischievously, a sly grin playing across his face. Asami Kyoka burst into laughter, especially upon seeing Asami Miko turned away, her cheeks flushed pink, and laughed until she could scarcely catch her breath. Suhan stood utterly transfixed. Goodness, what a wave. Your treasure? Well, it is quite impressive, large, dark, firm, and formidable. But tell me, whose use is it intended for? For me, or for Miko? Asami Kyoka, ever quick-witted, recognized she'd been playfully outmaneuvered, and chose instead to join Suhan's game, teasing Asami Miko in turn. After all, she felt deeply unbalanced within. What are you two talking about? Auntie, and you, stop looking at once. I'd never use something so ugly. Don't look, I forbid you to look. Suhan, put it away now, you'll drive me mad. Asami Miko stamped her tiny feet, her translucent ears burning crimson. With her back still turned to Suhan, she tugged fiercely at Asami Kyoka's arms, flustered and mortified. Giggle, giggle. Asami Kyoka covered her mouth, laughing softly, not turning away, but gently pivoting Miko around. Don't close your eyes. This is Suhan's special great treasure prepared just for you. Won't you take a look? Even an amateur like me can tell this is a famed blade. I won't look? It's hideous. Asami Miko squeezed her eyes shut, then abruptly paused, sensing something amiss. What blade? What fame? Famed blade. Famous blade. In that instant, Asami Miko understood everything. The Asami family upheld rigid, almost archaic discipline. Though her aunt might seem unreliable, her etiquette was impeccable. So impeccable that even the clan patriarch found no fault. Though she'd known Suhan only briefly, Asami Miko sensed he was no reckless man. Certainly not one who would expose himself indecently before others in public. Once comprehension dawned, Asami Miko snapped her eyes open, staring transfixed at the black katana in Suhan's hand, then flicking her gaze between him and Asami Kyoka, reading their shared amusement. In that moment she grasped it all. You both conspired against me. Asami Miko clenched her teeth, heart swelling with grievance. She longed almost desperately to lunge at Suhan and bite him twice. How infuriating. Now even diving into the ocean wouldn't wash away this embarrassment. Suhan chuckled, stepped forward, and extended the katana toward Asami Miko, raising one brow. Truly, you refuse such an ugly thing. He drew the blade from its scabbard. Teacher Asami, may I borrow a strand of your hair? Asami Kyoka plucked a silvery white hair and handed it to him, eyes alight with anticipation. Holding the blade upright, Suhan released the hair into the air. Seeing his motion, both women seemed to guess his intent, eyes widening, breath suspended. The hair drifted down, landing upon the edge, and without pause severed cleanly into two halves. Even braced for the spectacle, the sight left them profoundly shaken. Raised within a swordsmanship lineage, Asami Miko had beheld many famed blades, but few matched the legendary quality of this one. Satisfied by their awe, Suhan sheathed the blade, his gaze met by Asami Miko's unwavering stare. He offered the Muramasa to Asami Miko, no longer teasing. Excess invites diminishing returns. For me, her eyes fixed upon the black katana, shimmering with longing. Naturally. For you, Suhan affirmed with a nod. With Suhan's confirmation, a flash of wild joy lit Asami Miko's brows, quickly subdued. She extended both palms upward, receiving the Muramasa with reverent care. This is the finest gift I've ever received, the Muramasa. I shall honor its legacy and never let it fall into obscurity. Her expression turned solemn, almost sacred. Suhan opened his mouth, then closed it again, swallowing his words. In truth, it's unnecessary. Within the system shop, this is merely a Tier 1 divine weapon. Higher tiers exist, Tier 2, Tier 3. Suhan understood. Muramasa held unique significance for Asami Miko. He would simply let her keep it as a treasured heirloom. Having entrusted the Muramasa to Asami Miko, Suhan turned toward Asami Kyoka, who had been watching with amused detachment, and reached into his trousers once more. Teacher Asami, I'll show you my great treasure. Meow, meow, meow. Seeing Suhan's unmistakable gesture, Asami Miko froze, utterly paralyzed. Surely not again. Even if you stand 6 feet tall, can you possibly pull another katana from there? If you do, I swear. Before Asami Miko could finish her silent vow, Suhan drew forth a second katana, this one gleaming ivory white. Do you have an alternate dimension in your pants? Are you Doraemon? How did you pull out 2 samurai swords over a meter long from your pants? Aren't you afraid that while walking suddenly your manhood gets hurt? Even with the calmness of Akino Yako, she was left bewildered by Suhan's series of outrageous actions. To hell with calmness. Anyone witnessing such absurdity wouldn't remain calm unless they were a corpse. Holding back laughter, Suhan handed the Baiwa sword to Akino Kyoka. Teacher Akino, this samurai sword is for you. It's called Baihua, and its sharpness is on par with Muramasa. With this sword, your safety outside will be greatly enhanced. Another famous sword. Although she doesn't practice swordsmanship, Akino Kyoka, growing up in a family of swordsmen, understands the immense value of a renowned sword. To put it bluntly, even in modern society, a famous sword can make countless sword masters go crazy. After giving Suhan a deep look, Akino Kyoka discreetly glanced at Akino Yako, struggling to contain herself. "I won't refuse your kindness, Suhan." Gratefully accepting Baiwa from Suhan, Akino Kyoka expressed her heartfelt thanks. With Baiwa in her possession, even if Suhan and Akino Yako were too busy to care for her while outside, she would still have the means to protect herself. This was equivalent to giving her a second life, if not more. After distributing the weapons, Suhan suppressed his playful thoughts, scanning the faces of the two women. He spoke seriously. "Our target this time is the school supermarket. We need to cross the campus. Once we go out, act according to the situation, and be careful not to make too much noise to avoid attracting too many zombies. Do you all understand?" "Understood," Akino Kyoka replied. "Got it," Akino Yako echoed. Turning around, she unlocked the door, and Suhan quickly slipped out, followed closely by Akino Yako, with Akino Kyoka bringing up the rear. As Akino Kyoka emerged, Suhan pointed to the zombie wandering about 7 to 8 meters away and whispered, "Let's go." Before his words even faded, Suhan leaped out. The 7 to 8 meters were crossed in the blink of an eye, and with a swing of his weapon, the silver blade cut through the air, instantly decapitating the zombie. This zombie died without ever knowing how it perished. Kill ordinary zombie points 1, current points 489. With a successful strike, Suhan didn't pause, darting towards the next zombie at high speed. Behind him, Akino Yako was equally swift, having already decapitated another zombie. Only Akino Kyoka was slower. She hadn't undergone systematic training and had only slightly increased her attributes during her ability. Awakening her combat power was barely acceptable. Kill ordinary zombie points 0. 5, current points 489. 5 kill ordinary zombie points 0. 5 current points 490. Kill ordinary zombie points 1, current points 491. After once again severing a zombie's head, Suhan was left in a daze by the notification sound echoing in his mind. "Wait, what's with the 0? 5 points from the system? Where did that come from?" As he asked, Suhan had a vague answer in his mind, but the answer was indeed hard to believe. Response to the host: "The points come from the demon swords Muramasa and Baiwa." Akino Yako and Akino Kyoka used the weapons produced by the system to slay zombies, allowing them to absorb wandering energy, partially returning to the user, while the other portion is converted into system points. So it's true. Upon receiving the system's reply, Suhan found his breathing becoming heavier. This meant he had 2 new channels for earning points. In fact, it wouldn't take long before the 200 points he spent would be multiplied tenfold or 100-fold in return. This was truly an unexpected delight. System: how much energy is returned to the user? It won't be too little and harm Yako and Kyoka, will it? Although there was profit to be made, Suhan didn't want to fatten himself at the expense of his women. That would be too immoral. Host, please rest assured. The energy returned from killing zombies with system weapons is approximately double the original. Using system-produced weapons will not harm the user. Instead, it will enhance the user's strength at least double, if not more. With that, Suhan felt completely at ease. This was undoubtedly a win-win situation. Yako and Kyoka benefit, and he can earn points too. Both sides gain. Filled with delight, Suhan increased his speed in slaying zombies. Often he would flash and appear 10 meters away in an instant, and the zombies along the way only felt a gust of wind brush past their faces before their heads were sent flying. On the other side, Akino Yako was also in high spirits, realizing that since she started using the demon sword Muramasa, gifted by Suhan, every time she killed a zombie, a surge of power flowed into her body, gradually enhancing her strength. The power gained from each zombie kill was more than double what she experienced when using a wooden sword. This was simply unbelievable. The sensation of clearly perceiving her strength steadily increasing was simply wonderful. Akino Yako was struggling to contain her desire for slaughter. With an extraordinary stride, Akino Yako danced among the horde of corpses, her blade shining fiercely, the demon sword Muramasa glimmering with an eerie red light. Akino Kyoka, on the other hand, did not feel as strongly. After slaying a zombie, she sensed a rush of power within her. This novel feeling intrigued her. It felt just like playing a game. She didn't need to learn any swordsmanship, and since the health teacher was quite idle, her days were mostly spent asleep in the infirmary, watching TV or playing games. Killing zombies allowed her to rediscover that feeling of battling monsters in a game, albeit this monster was a bit ugly and didn't drop loot. This bizarre mindset made Akino Kyoka grow bolder in facing zombies. If Suhan hadn't mentioned to minimize noise, she would have shouted a couple of battle cries. The 3 of them, with Suhan leading, sped through the campus, eliminating the zombies they encountered along the way. Among them, Suhan was the fastest. Akino Yako slightly slower, and Akino Kyoka had the fewest kills. Even though Akino Kyoka had the least kills, she still managed to take down nearly 10 zombies. As they moved further away from the administrative building, the campus became increasingly deserted. A gentle breeze blew, carrying away the scent of the living from Suhan and the others. Where the wind passed, the wandering zombies froze in place. Sniff, sniff. The grotesque faces sniffed the air, and soon one by one the zombies turned to face the direction of Suhan and the others. With a swift slice, as he decapitated another zombie, and noticed the surrounding zombies beginning to turn, Suhan's expression darkened. The situation he feared most had occurred. But it wasn't a big issue. Before they left, he had already considered this point. Yako Kyoka, don't linger in battle, swiftly crossed the campus towards the supermarket. With a low shout, Suhan charged forward, gripping the Xiang tightly. Upon hearing Suhan's call, Akino Yako immediately abandoned the zombie in front of her, quickly rushing to Akino Kyoka's side. Without needing much prompting from Yako, Kyoka began to sprint. Suhan's plan was for him to clear the path in front. Akino Kyoka, being slower and less combat effective, would run in the middle, while Akino Yako would cover the rear. As the three of them dashed forward, the sluggish zombies finally locked onto their target, their previously vacant expressions twisted into monstrous snarls. Roar! Roar! At that moment, the zombies across the entire campus went berserk. Roar! In front of the teaching building, hundreds of zombies wandering in the campus suddenly fell into a frenzy, charging like sharks that have caught the scent of blood towards the position of Suhan and his companions. Hundreds of zombies gathered from all directions, densely packed and swarming, sending chills down one's spine at just a glance. Boom! Thousands of zombies sprinted wildly, shaking the ground beneath them as the thunderous noise echoed like muffled thunder. In the campus, witnessing this terrifying scene, even though Suhan was already prepared, he was still startled by the overwhelming force. As far as the eye could see, there were countless grimacing zombies. With thousands of them charging simultaneously, it was a sight that could easily frighten the faint-hearted to death. Ding! A random mission has been issued. Cross through the tide of zombies to reach the school supermarket within half an hour. The reward for completing the mission is 1,000 points. The mission has been automatically accepted, and there is no penalty for failure. Another mission. Suhan's eyes lit up. The previous reward of 500 points had already given him a taste of sweetness. Without the 500 points from the mission, he wouldn't even have enough to purchase 2 first-tier divine weapons. Although killing zombies could earn points, the speed was too slow. Tasks are really powerful. Moreover, the rewards are so generous. It seems the system also felt that this task was quite challenging, doubling the reward. It has become 1,000 points. This indicates that the system believes this mission is quite difficult, hence the abundant rewards. 1,000 points. This is equivalent to killing 1,000 zombies. Zombies are not just ordinary creatures. They can run, jump, and pose an infection risk. Even if the 1,000 zombies stood still, it would take him a long time to kill them. Suhan was determined. He must secure these 1,000 points. Otherwise, it would be a disservice to the task issued by the system. A few meters behind Suhan, Asaka Yako swiftly dispatched the few zombies before her. Glancing around at the approaching horde of zombies, her exquisite and cold face appeared extremely grave. Even though she had obtained the demon blade Muramesa, doubling her strength facing such a massive tide of zombies, if she couldn't break through early, she would be facing certain death. Roar! Zombies were growling, and several more lunged at her. Asaka Yako's beautiful eyes turned cold as she swung the demon blade Muramesa, swiftly dispatching them. After eliminating these few zombies, Asaka Yako quickly retreated to Asaka Kyoka's side. At that moment, Kyoka had also dealt with the 2 zombies before her. And let's go. Pulling Asaka Kyoka along, Asaka Yako rushed to Suhan's side, her expression serious. Suhan, there are too many zombies. What should we do now? Should we retreat or continue with the original plan and fight our way to the supermarket? Hearing the voice behind him, Suhan turned to look at Asaka Yako. Seeing her grave expression, he joked, "Of course we charge through the tide of zombies to the supermarket. What do you say? Want to come with me?" Though he spoke in a joking tone, he was serious about crossing through the tide of zombies, as he had no intention of giving up on those 1,000 points. However, he planned to go alone this time. As for Asaka Yako and Kyoka, Suhan's idea was to have them return to the administrative building first, allowing him to act without too many concerns. All right. Asaka Yako's response was brief, just a single word, but her tone was so resolute that it caught Suhan's attention. Staring blankly at Asaka Yako, Suhan could only see seriousness and killing intent on her face, without a hint of fear or reluctance. It seemed that with just a word from him, she would fearless follow him through the tide of zombies. Crossing through the tide of zombies could lead to death, and the odds were high. With just the 3 of them, it could be said they were 9 deaths out of 10. But if they chose to retreat, they were less than 100 meters away from the administrative building, and the number of zombies behind them was not large, representing the weakest point of the tide. They could easily return safely to the administrative building with little to no danger. Knowing full well that death was a possibility, Asaka Yako still chose to head to the supermarket with him. Suhan didn't know what to say. Aren't you afraid of dying? There are hundreds of zombies in front of us. If we can't break through, you, I, and teacher Asaka will all die. Have you thought about this issue? So what? Asaka Yako's expression remained unchanged. You are the future husband recognized by me, Asaka Yako. Although we have yet to compete, the outcome is already determined. What does it matter if we face death together? The women of the Asaka family never feared death. Saying this, Asaka Yako turned to look at Asaka Kyuka beside her brows slightly furrowed, feeling somewhat troubled. Suhan is her recognized future husband, and she could follow him to death without hesitation, but Kyuka had no reason to join in the sacrifice. However, if she were to turn back and escort Kyuka safely, leaving Suhan alone, she couldn't bring herself to do it, which made her feel conflicted. Asaka Kyuka snorted lightly. Although her mature and beautiful face was somewhat pale, her tone held no trace of fear. Are you too underestimating me? If you can do it, why can't I? Little Suhan is also quite satisfied. Previously, I thought it would be hard to handle. If we can survive this time, I won't hold back. Suhan blinked in surprise. What is this? An unexpected gain. He didn't expect Asaka Kyuka to have such guts. She dares to say such things. It seems she feels that the hope of breaking through is too slim, which is why she dared to voice her thoughts. After all, during this exchange, the zombies charging from all directions had completely converged, forming a large circle with 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. Even the path back to the administrative building was completely blocked. In this situation, unless one were a superhuman, there was no hope of surviving the breakthrough. Asaka Kyuka's shocking words stunned Asaka Yako, clearly not expecting that her aunt wanted to steal her future husband. With her head down, Asaka Yako seemed to be deep in thought. Soon she raised her head. If Suhan doesn't mind, I have no objections. Little one, do you have a lot of questions? Suhan was utterly dumbfounded. What kind of miraculous thought process is this? Is this the way of thinking of the women in the Asaka family? It shocks me every single year. One would think we are in ancient times. Life is full of surprises. Suhan didn't expect that a joking remark would lead to such a revelation. Forget about having a task. Even without a task today, he must charge to the supermarket. Not to mention the hundreds of zombies blocking the way. Even if there were thousands, he would crush them all. Desire is the driving force of humanity's progress. Now Suhan is fully motivated, wanting to punch a big hole in the sky. Baby, you are simply amazing. In a surge of excitement, Suhan no longer cared about anything else and swept Asaka Yako into his arms, kissing her in the midst of her astonished gaze. After a passionate theft looking at the zombies that had charged a dozen meters away, he closed his eyes and communicated with the system. System, raise all 4-dimensional attributes to 20 points. Also upgrade my lightning ability to LV2. On the 4th floor of the administrative building in the corridor outside the swordsmanship department, the students who were originally kneeling have now all stood up, their faces pale, as they watch the chaos unfold in the campus. The terrifying roars of the zombies echoed, and the ground trembled as over 1,000 zombies charged forward. Such a commotion could not escape the ears of these students. With Suhan absent, the deterrent force diminished significantly, causing many students to succumb to their curiosity, quietly standing up to witness a scene reminiscent of a horror movie. Shock, fear, terror. The students were dumbfounded, petrified. Even though they were on the 4th floor, not facing the thousands of zombies directly, the horrifying sight chilled their spines and made them feel dizzy. Many students, upon seeing this scene, felt their legs weaken in fear. If not for holding onto the windowsill, they might not have been able to stand. That seems to be Lord Suhan along with Senior Shallow and Teacher Shallow, right? They appear to be surrounded by those monsters. A sharp-eyed student spotted Suhan and the others encircled by the zombie tide, trembling as they pointed in their direction. Hearing the student's words, the other students in the corridor could no longer hold back their fear and turned their gazes. Where are they? Is it really them? But why are Senior Shallow and the others outside? This time it's likely. No, I've liked Teacher Shallow for a long time. How can this happen? This time it's likely. No, I've liked Teacher Shallow for a long time. How can this happen? Upon discovering Suhan and the others surrounded by the zombie tide, the students present wailed in despair, their voices filled with pessimism and hopelessness. Don't talk nonsense. Lord Suhan is so strong, he will definitely be fine. He is the divine son. Even Tung Jinzataro, who possesses divine power, is no match for him. These monsters could never harm Lord Suhan. Just as nearly all the students felt hopeless, a few female students in the crowd suddenly spoke up. Despite their pale faces, they looked at Suhan's silhouette amidst the zombie tide with admiration, their eyes filled with fervent obsession. The behavior of these girls was akin to that of crazed fans, which could be described in another way as zealous devotees. They yielded to Su-han's strength, relishing the thrill of being dominated by him, submitting to his immense power, and were even willing to do anything to uphold his invincible image in their hearts. Not just these girls, but a few boys shared the same expression. This was a mark of the subservience ingrained in the bloodline of the people of the Sakura Empire, worshipping, fearing, and submitting to the strong. To them, having defeated �13 Jinzataro, who possesses divine power, made Su-han the new divine son. Su-han is not an ordinary person, but the divine son. To submit and worship the divine son is not a humiliation, but a glory. They kept hypnotizing themselves until they believed it themselves. In this moment of horror and despair, Su-han became their faith, and they absolutely would not allow the pillar of their spirit to crumble. Perhaps influenced by these few female students, more and more students in the corridor showed expressions of fervor, their previous fears vanishing. The power of faith is terrifying. It can dispel all negative emotions. Of course, not all students were infected. Some even resisted submitting to Su-han. Previously fearful of his formidable power, now that it seemed Su-han was about to die, the weight pressing upon them vanished, and the suppressed feelings of inferiority and resentment erupted all at once. Huh, are you guys joking? Yamamoto Yuichi exclaimed extravagantly, tilting his head in a comical manner, as if he had heard the greatest joke in the world, pointing at Su-han and the others surrounded by the zombie tide downstairs, roaring. Those monsters number over 1,000. Forget about the divine son, even if a god came. There's only one way to die. Yamamoto Yuichi spat recklessly, venting his fear and resentment towards Su-han. You idiots, you like being someone else's dog, you like to grovel, don't you? Then just watch how your master is chewed to death by those monsters. A mere pig from the 𝓃 kingdom, a lowly bloodline, should be enslaved by our glorious Sakura Empire. How dare he oppress us and act like a tyrant? Divine son, I spit. Yamamoto Yuichi spat ferociously on the ground and turned to the surrounding students, roaring. What happened to your courage? What about the dignity of the men of our Sakura Empire? Tell me what's so scary about that damn 𝓃 kingdom pig. Are you all cowards? Do you not even have the courage to resist? As Yamamoto Yuichi's call resonated, many students in the corridor showed flickering expressions. Their gazes turned towards Su-han, and the others surrounded by the zombie tied, their bottled-up resentment growing stronger, especially as when they saw Su-han passionately kissing Shallow Mei and even extending his claws towards Shallow Jingxiang. The boys, who were already stirred, instantly broke down. The hatred of a stolen wife is irreconcilable. Instantly, over a dozen male students stood up, resolutely positioning themselves behind Yamamoto Yuichi, their eyes filled with hatred as they looked at Su-han. To be honest, even Yamamoto Yuichi nearly broke down. Shallow Mei was recognized as the goddess of the Private Academy, firmly seated at the top, unshakable by anyone. Meanwhile, Shallow Jingxiang was the goddess teacher of the Private Academy, with countless admirers. As a normal male in Yamamoto Yuichi's heart, Shallow Mei and Shallow Jingxiang were like goddesses from the heavens. Even a glance at them was sacrilege. If a goddess spoke, he would happily die on the spot. Now, witnessing the goddess he revered as sacred and inviolable being forcefully kissed, Yamamoto Yuichi nearly broke down on the spot. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Su-han must die. Shallow Mei must die. Shallow Jingxiang must also die. What a ridiculous goddess. They are all bitches. Why didn't they refuse? Why didn't they resist? The goddess has already been defiled. Yamamoto Yuichi completely lost it. He wanted to see Su-han and the others being devoured alive by countless zombies. Only then could he vent the fury within him. Shut up, you garbage bug, Yamamoto Yuichi. Don't you dare insult Lord Su-han. Lord Su-han is invincible. Apologize to Lord Su-han now, or don't blame us for being rude. Yes, kneel and apologize to Lord Su-han. Kneel down quickly, or we will beat you to death. Hearing Yamamoto Yuichi's insults towards Su-han, a group of female students who regarded Su-han as a deity were furious, their eyes bloodshot like frenzied leopards. Let me give that 𝓃 kingdom. The tension escalated, but before Yamamoto Yuichi could finish, he was struck on the head by a club coming from the front. The group of female students who viewed Su-han as a deity were enraged, their eyes blood red, as they glared at Yamamoto Yuichi, screaming repeatedly. Beat him to death. Insulting Lord Su-han cannot be forgiven. Go. Beat him to death. Beat him to a pulp. Those of you who don't want to die, get the hell out of here. Otherwise we will beat you too.